There we go. We are here. We are live. And it's that Mercury retrograde, or at least that is exactly what I'm going to fall back on and blame every time I get the technology wrong. We are here. It is Friday. That means it's time to get your freak on. And can you handle our woo? When I think back to the last few weeks, Mr. Lopez, we've been absolutely knocking it out the park. We had Andy and Jason joining us. That was a blockbuster. We got into so many rabbit holes and topics last week. Again, mind-blowing. And tonight, I don't know, maybe Mercury retrograde messes with, like, your mind, the technology, the population in general. But it seems to maybe just encourage the good flow of woo into the Freaky Friday. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for that. But you never know. You just never know. How are you doing, man?
Doing good. And, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of craziness going on. A
whole
craziness.
Heap of crazy, dude. I thought there was a whole heap of crazy. Well, there was a whole heap of crazy flying around in
Look
Glasgow
at those,
today.
Look at those awesome retro 80s graphics going on in the background.
You know, I don't usually blow my own trumpet, bro, but yep, I must admit, I don't know about the stars.
No, that came
yet.
out good.
That could end up being a little bit maybe nauseous. The stars going a little bit too fast, but we can work on that. And it's a work in progress. But thank you, as somebody who likes to play about with art and 3D and the fractals and things. Yes, I'll take that. Thank you very much, Scott.
Yes, it looks good. Very nice aesthetic to everything going on there.
The Wookiee in the YouTube, over at the YouTube channel, he has been very instrumental in getting me motivated to get into the After Effects. It's something I'd tried before, and it was just daunting. It was like throwing me into some super advanced spaceship and saying, there you go, Kev, take it to Alpha Centauri. And no, but you know, as with everything in the world nowadays, maybe not everything, YouTube is your friend. And I can't say that I entirely made this myself. I had the idea, I've seen it before, I wanted that effect, and you get talkthroughs on YouTube. So you just basically copy what the guy's telling you, and like you said to me not so long ago, the more I'm doing it, now the more I find I'm picking it up, and I've got new ideas, and we'll keep going, and we'll get better and better, man.
It's the thing with those kind of programs is that they're made for people to just play around with and kind of figure out on their own.
It's all sliders. You can barely go wrong, you know, and if it does go horrible, revert to last saved place, you know?
Yeah, undo it, and then, you know.
Start again. But how's things with your technology this Mercury retrograde? Because we had a bit of a brain fart before we went live. You forgot to turn on your mixer, Scott. Come on. What's happening, man?
See? There we go. I can just say retrograde. That's all that was, retrograde.
It could be. It could well be, dude.
Who knows? I know we were getting into simulation and stuff yesterday, and we're going to get into this new world simulation thing that Microsoft has going on right now with their flight simulator, but it's really more than a flight simulator. It's a world simulator. It's a world generating simulator. So that's going to be some crazy woo.
Yeah, man, we'll hit that right after the chat room, because I've got another story that's kind of techie woo related, and then we can set off from there to the island of woo. Not speculation, we're going right over the horizon this time, Scott. Not over the edge, over the horizon to woo.
We've crossed the event horizon.
That was a long time ago, man.
There's no going back once you cross the event horizon.
When the bells rang for midnight on 2020 at Edinburgh Castle, that's pretty much when we slipped across the event horizon into the black hole that is 2020. probably can't call it that anymore. Let's make the most of it. Be a void before we know it. Even that'll be cancelled, right? So let's get into the chat room. Yes, indeed. Not that I get triggered easily by that stuff. In the chat room,
No.
we always give the Wookiees their shout out, so I'm going to talk for about 5 seconds, give you a chance to get over to tfrlive.com/chat, and there are a fine selection of scholarly, educated-looking Wookiees indeed. And first, no particular order. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to start from Sophia the robot. You all know I'm in there. Bam. Alan, good to see you, brother. We've got Lewis, Silimo. Remember to check out Silimo's blog. He does some brilliant writing over there. I'm sure he'll drop that into the chat room for y'all. Cold Brews, Lurens, Gemini, Robofish, Buzzacino, Lancifer, CJ, big shout out to you, brother. We've got Trudy Glenn, Bill, Epic. Now, Epic has been on We've Read the Documents on YouTube. I haven't checked the episode out yet, but it's on my watch later list. And he was on there talking about, the Mandela effect. So, yes, I'll definitely be checking that one out. We love ourselves some Mandela, don't we? Yeah.
Yes, it's always a good.
Wonder what Mandela would make of what's become of his once great name. You know, what he would make of this phenomenon that sees his name uttered bajillions of times a day.
If only he realized like it had nothing to do with anything he did as the leader of South Africa, you know.
Only he didn't die twice, pesky Mandela.
His name is only being used to describe a crazy effect.
Yep. Big time. There must have been better characters we could have chosen for like naming it after. We'll need to think about that. We might throw it out to the audience. A different name for that whole effect. A funny one.
It's like Mothman.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. The ma'am effect. When did a man become a ma'am? That kind of thing, you know?
It's the Mandela.
The Mandela.
Excuse me, it's ma'am.
Oh, for today, it certainly is, sir. Ma'am. Oh,
yes.
I get confused easily. Psycho Dave. 3, 2, 1. You almost think he's going to go off his head when you count down to 3, 2, 1, Scott. Like he's going to go full Tasmanian devil in the chat room or something. We've got the Cam Traveller. Laid back, just in the hammock, listening to Freaky Friday, you know, all is good. And have we not done Lancifer before? It's going to freak me out because it's a kind of creepy name and now he's popping up everywhere in the chat room. So with that said, Scott,
I think you got him twice.
I'm pretty sure I got him twice. Yes, indeedy. Now, we've got one super chat to play before we go any further, and then I'm going to save the super chats for the breaks so that it doesn't interrupt Scotty's flow. Me, I can deal with it, but the big man, focused like a laser beam at you, Scott. Here we go.
Hashtag all Fridays matter, especially freaky ones. One love.
Ah, and that there. Yes, that's why you, the audience. Whoa.
I swear it used to be called the Mugabe effect.
The Mugabe effect. The Pol Pot's effect. We just go for evil dictators and things, Scotty boy. But anyway, listen. You, I probably caught you off guard yesterday on the show when we were unloading on all the topics in the world, and then I randomly threw at you. But Scott, wait. What if there's an AI taking control of everything? Right?
It took an interesting twist yesterday. Kev went full AI.
It had been troubling me. It had been troubling me. There's some things I can't make sense of, like we were talking about yesterday. But when you do factor in an AI, it might be confirmation bias, but it starts to make sense. But then after the show, you kind of took things to a whole new level of reality within the simulation to me. And it might not have seemed like it at the time, but I was gobsmacked at what I was watching. Because we've played games all of our lives, right? And tell the audience where we're at now, Scott. I mean, what you can buy and download and run on your own computer at home. What level of gaming are we now at?
Well, Microsoft just released the alpha, and I don't know if it's in the beta testing phase yet, but it's of their new flight simulator. Now everybody goes, oh, okay, it's just a flight simulator. But I did a lot more like digging into this and looking into what they actually were doing. And first of all, I didn't know that flight simulator is, did you know it's Microsoft's most longest running piece of software that they've ever had?
Wow.
Like from the very beginning of Windows, there's always been a flight simulator, even if it was just very crude.
But they were still good back in the day. Very polygonal, but still,
very crude. Like, yeah, just very crude, like vector points and stuff like that. You know, grid lines to follow.
Not far off what our graphics look like here, to be honest with you.
Yeah, exactly. No, really. But they have been developing flight simulator since the very get-go, and I guess it's something they've always liked to focus on. But when they made this new one, it was a way for Microsoft to be able to demo an actual simulation engine. So it's more than just a flight simulator. They're just letting you fly around in it, you know, because you have to package it around something, right? You got to make a game or some kind of an objective to utilizing the world. So they just developed flight simulator around it. But it's much more than just flight simulator, because it's the actual engine that's running it that's what's really important. And they're pretty much able to simulate what is actually going on an environmental level, and they're using real-time data from their just commercial satellite images that you can get in extremely high detail, and then you feed those data sets into...
It's using Bing Maps, isn't it?
Yeah, it's using Bing Maps, and they're scanning it in and using AI, because they're just feeding all of that satellite data into artificial intelligence and then teaching it how to render 3D objects on top of the satellite maps. And so from that, the AI is able to generate trees, generate buildings that may even be missing on the map. It can fill in the missing data, because what does artificial intelligence do best? It fills in the missing gaps. It fills in the flaws and the stuff like that. So as you're flying around in simulator, wherever you're at within a certain range, that's what's being downloaded through your internet.
And it goes even deeper though, Scott, because when you were like letting me watch it, he's sitting saying to me, you know, Kev, it's literally rendering the weather as you're going as well, isn't it, Scott? I mean, it's like mist, and it's
yeah, because on top of all of the satellite AI going on, they developed a weather, basically an atmospheric simulator that they use supercomputers and stuff to scan in real-time weather data. It's able to simulate humidity and how clouds will form, and it actually generates thunderstorms and rain and all kinds. It's so mind-blowing.
You take that, Scott, and hey, listen, you can't even separate all of the big tech giants with cigarette paper anymore. They're pretty much all one entity. You know, just look at the recent apps that were downloaded onto phones and things. So you take that, what they've got, Scott, the Microsoft, that package, almost the visual kind of package. You've got the sentient world simulation, which is literally the raw data getting played about with, looked at from every single possible probability imaginable, and all the nodes connecting in between. And you start to see how you're getting a reality that is starting to become indistinguishable from the real world.
Because when you're scanning in real world photos, real world high resolution data, and then you're training AI on top of it to improve it and fix all of the glitches and bugs and stuff, and missing data, it's going to start generating some really, really realistic things,
I'm speculating here, but to put it into some kind of jargon that maybe even my mum could understand here, right? I mean, we talk about the neural link coming out later this year. It's getting trialed. I don't know how that's happening with everything that's going on in the world, but it's on its way. And just envisage, maybe sitting in your chair, doing something, looking at an app on your phone, touching your forehead. I don't know how it'll be, but then literally being in that world. And like the holodeck on Star Trek, and literally a second life in there. It's Ready Player 1 to 7.5 billion.
That's what I think this engine that Microsoft created is kind of that next sort of leap to, because you saw the footage. I mean, we can show the audience during the break, the YouTube audience, some of the footage from it.
And anyone can go and, just look at it on there. It'll be YouTube. It'll be everywhere,
Yeah, Flight Simulator 2020. Just go and look at them flying around on that. And that's all AI generated on the fly, because you're getting real-time data from your internet connection of the location that you're over, and then you're getting the AI training on top of that generates all of the 3D models and stuff like that. So,
and
you can
when it
imagine
catches the cars as well, Scott, doesn't it? I mean, it gets more intricate because you're talking about the road networks and everything. They're all going as well.
Yeah, so like highways and stuff that the satellite has scanned, the detail is so, it's such high resolution imagery that the AI is able to pick up on the fact that, oh, these are cars on the road. And so it generates 3D cars on the road, and it actually has them driving down the road, because you would expect to see cars actually driving down the road and not standing still, right? So it knows to work out that problem that, oh, there's going to be cars moving up and down this highway when you're flying by it, so I need to represent that to simulate a more realistic version of.
And you've got all of the AI systems that are doing the autonomous vehicles and everything else, and they'll all eventually be talking to one another. Games like that will open source that data to build the world that we're talking about just for gaming. That's the level we're getting to. That's it's mind blowing, because even I'm shocked. And I like my gaming, but Cyberpunk as well. That's a new game coming out. It might as well just be actors in it. It's getting weirdly real. And some people will say that that's a bad thing. Me, I'm on the fence about it. I don't think it's anything bad. Can it affect some people in a bad way? Absolutely, but it's the same as anything else, Scott, isn't it? Responsibility
it's
and moderation,
It's the direction we're going, whether...
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, put it this way, today, right? Sitting in the house today, and thankfully, with everything going on in Glasgow, but maybe this time last year, I'd have had to have left the house today, go and get a bus, and go to the hospital, because I had an appointment. Only, this was like an appointment I've not had before, Scott. This took place right here, with these headphones in, this microphone, and NHS Scotland, Glasgow. We've got video conference, or video consultations, sorry. I'm not sure how widespread it is, but bear in mind, I'm in the smart city, so maybe we're the first. But as I said to the doctor, I actually find it far more convenient. And there's going to be occasions when you have to go to get a physical checkup, but when it's something like this, you can just talk about. Then it's a bit going out my way. You know, going up a hill, going to the hospital, come back, trudge. Nightmare, right? Not today. Cup of coffee, talk to the quack. Away we go. Pickety boo, man. Ticking the box, I'm out of there. Can't
Yeah,
argue.
hey, nah. See, there are going to be some more convenient things that do come out of all of this, right? Like, it's not all bad, I guess you could say. I mean, yeah, we're going to do
I was going to
things.
say, have you ever sat in a waiting room in a hospital in Glasgow? But quite obviously you haven't. It's not pretty. It's not good.
Even minus a pandemic, I would not want to be going up to the hospital for any reason whatsoever.
That's a mission,
right?
man.
So,
yeah, it's not good.
anything to keep me from going there, I say yeah, I'm all for that.
Just looking at the chat room, yes, indeedy. But yeah, and I've got another example of how the AI is certainly getting better. And of course, listen, that's no mystery. That's what it's designed to do. It'll get better and better. But I've got a story here. Big shout out to Karen, who posted this one on my Facebook today. Japanese AI. That's a bit. It's just an AI, surely. I mean, come on. Do we? I know I'm getting silly now, but hey, AI lives matter. Writes a novel and nearly wins a literary award, Scott.
Ooh.
Yeah, so writers beware, an AI written novel just made it past the first round of screening for a national literary prize in Japan. The novel this program co-authored is titled "A Day a Computer Writes a Novel." Oh, how creepy, man. The final page. Next, world domination and close book. Nah, that's it, man. It all goes off. It all goes off. Ah. No, but what do you think, dude? That's pretty mad, right? We've seen them writing the news. I think Japan's got a fully AI news anchor. Now they're writing books. Come on, let's face it. We could easily have read many articles already that have been absolutely published by AI. Totally believe that. Totally.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Sounds like they took what Elon Musk and them did with their AI thing, and the Japanese just went full force with it, and they just went ahead.
Transformer or something they called it, GT something.
Yeah,
it was cool.
Yeah, they just went ahead and just full on trained this one, and then let it write a novel. So I wouldn't doubt that the AI probably wrote something pretty impressive if they trained it with enough. They fed it enough data, and I'm sure the Japanese fed it a lot of data if they were going to do something wild like that. So.
Yep. Just let it go reading everything on the internet. Careful what you write about it. Just be very careful what you say or write about the AI nowadays. It's listening. It really is. And that's that. What's it called? Rocco's Basilisk? It's that thought experiment somebody came up with at one point where somebody literally said that. They said, what happens if, like we predict there's an artificially general intelligence in the future, it's going to maybe be able to identify people that are a stumbling block or people that have spoke badly about it. When it becomes into being, it'll look back, it'll read everything. And what if it takes the hump at you? We know it likes to play games, right? So that was the kind of basis of this kind of essay thought experiment thing. And yeah, I've kind of tamed what I've said about the AI since then. You just never know, Scott. Never know.
Just wake up and you just have your computer screen is blank with just the blinking light in the corner, and it's like, I know you don't like me, Kev.
Yeah. How did you know that happens? Oh, that's for my next doctor's appointment. I need to tell him about the voices in my head. See, I'm getting confused now, Scott. I'm getting confused. But when we come back after the break, on you go, man.
No, I was just saying that's crazy though that it was able to write something so that it almost won a Japanese literary, novel award, because they take that stuff seriously. So it's not like they were just gonna give it to the robot.
Well, it's like that Chinese game Go, isn't it? I mean, you got people that like play their full lives, and along comes Deep Blue or Deep Alpha, the Alpha Go. Absolutely trounced them. But we'll be back after the break, and I've got some creepy noises for you to listen to. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. There we go, and we're obviously still live with you brilliant people over here on the YouTube. Thank you for being here today. Now, Scott, I don't know if you've got any graphics you want to show them or anything from your, I suppose I could try and pull it up here. Why am I asking you? I've got the computer in front of me. There we go.
Just go.
We'll take a look at this.
Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Yeah.
2020.
There we go.
There's
that one.
Yeah.
Go for that.
See the video's logo right here? Well, instead of that, you just drop in your own logo. It used to be that if you...
Right, let's see.
Welcome to another exciting week in the world of Microsoft Flight Simulator. Welcome to another Microsoft Flight Simulator update episode. This is where we bring you all the news and updates on the development of this new flight sim. So if you're lazy like me and you don't want to troll the net for all the latest updates, this episode
That's crazy.
is for you.
Right?
all of that is being generated by artificial intelligence that's just scanning in real time Bing maps, and it's generating all of the trees and all of the buildings and all
you
of
even
that.
see the way the waves are breaking into the shore. There's different. It's crazy, dude.
Yeah, and that's just the alpha. Like, they said that this is still really, really kind of crude.
That there looks like a photograph. Let's face it. Looks
Because
like
it is. If you technically think about it, it really is a photograph of a satellite photograph, and then
just that stuck into it.
Yeah, AI graphics drawn in on top of it.
Yeah, pretty bizarre, man. Pretty bizarre. But yes, when we were coming onto the stream today, you may have noticed we have got one new addition to our little Wookiee family up in the corner there. Mammoth Hunter has provided a new emoji. So this is what we're doing now, Scott. I'm trying to get all of our regulars here to fire up the emoji maker, send one in, and eventually we'll have a full wall of them. That'll be pretty cool,
So
dude.
those are like custom little emojis.
Yeah, I think it's something called memoji. Like, no, I don't get sponsored or paid by anyone. That's just what we've been using. That's what I certainly used.
Yes, if it's cool, utilize it. So
yeah, over. Let's see. That there, you make them bigger, like. There they are. The Wookiee crew. Yes, indeed. You see?
Excellent.
You see, we've got all the little fun and games over here, Scott. I'm telling you, man. Gotta keep the audience entertained, you know?
Exactly. Got to make it interactive.
Yeah, sure. I'm looking at the clock. Yeah, sure. Can't miss our start time this time, right?
Indeed.
And yeah,
indeed.
I've got some weird noises, folks. This is going to be really weird. We'll be going back in just a moment. Now, tomorrow, I should be doing a stream round about the time I usually do my show. Hopefully Scotty will be about. We can kick about. We'll do something stupid. We'll take a look for some dumb criminals. The world's craziest animals as well. That's a stream that I'm wanting to do. But here we go. Here we go. Let's do it, Scott. Ah, yes, indeed. There we are. the double Wookiee, we're back. And excuse me. Yes, Scott, the simulation within the simulation certainly seems to be becoming a lot more lifelike. And have you got any idea where the hatch is? Because I'm about ready to open the hatch and climb out of the D wave that we're probably existing in right now. Because if things get any more bizarre, dude, I don't even know if I can take it. I don't know if I can take it anymore. I'm as mad as hell, Scott.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna be entering a world pretty soon. There's gonna be a lot of augmented reality overlaid on our reality.
Take a
I
look
would
outside
say.
the window right now, dude. It's getting pretty augmented as it is. Very augmented.
Look really augmented right now, but Microsoft has been doing a lot of stuff, I would say, on the down low while everybody's focusing on what other companies are doing, like, because you know that Nvidia is really, really well known for their artificial intelligence and AI training and stuff like that. And I think they get a lot of attention when it comes to that. But Microsoft has also been focusing on that, like, a lot. But for, I mean, what it looks like to me is actual real world simulation, you know, and the only way that they can demonstrate that is by packaging it around Flight Simulator, but it's going to go far beyond Flight Simulator. Because can you imagine being in that?
Well, I would imagine if it's rendering and it's AI, it's still machine learning, because the graphics cards have machine learning capabilities now. So all those graphics cards, all those games getting played, all of those random numbers getting generated. I'm telling you, man. Oh, that AI is gobbling up some amount of data. The more data
Can you imagine
it's got,
in there with VR? You know,
you
like
could
doing
do
that Flight Simulator.
You could.
And yeah, so, and that's just, they said that's going to be able to run on general, you know, people's home PCs. I mean, it's not like you have to have a supercomputer to run that Microsoft Flight Simulator. I mean, that's the whole point of Flight Simulator, right? Is to play it on your computer. So, gonna be interesting. Gonna be very, very interesting.
You ready for some weird noises?
Yes. What do we got going on with the weird
I'm not going
noises?
to tell people what it is. I'm not going to affect the purity of the signal. I want you all to listen real good. And I want you to try and think to yourself just what it is that we're listening to here, okay? And of course, we'll tell you it's amazing and it's haunting and it's just right for Freaky Friday. Here we go. Creepy, that one, Scott, isn't it? That there that we're listening to, folks. See that weird Shelley physicist dude that used to be in the band D-Ream? Brian, is it Dr. Brian Cox? Is that who it is? Is it Brian Cox? Sure, that's his name. Brian May. Brian May. I thought his name was Brian Cox, but maybe I'm wrong anyway. But that there is the music of the Star Sounds project. And it says here that these infrasounds were computed by astrophysicist Garrick Israelian in 2005 in this unique acoustic library inspired Israelian and Dr. Brian May. Oh, it's right. It's a dude out of Queen. There we go. Right, I take it back. I thought it was the other creepy one that goes about CERN and things. Dr. Brian May, astrophysicist and legendary guitarist of Queen, to create a festival to bring together stars and music. So Starmus was born. Yep, it says Dr. Brian May is a well-known mathematician and astrophysicist who worked with NASA on the New Horizons mission, and promotes awareness of hazardous asteroids and occasionally dabbles in music. So Dr. Garrick Israelian, a great name, is another astrophysicist known for his... Oh, can you hear that? Can you hear that? Can you hear that, Scott? Can you hear that? Can't hear it. Bang, my gate's too good, man. Police helicopter. It's alright. Flies over every night. Flies over every night, it's alright. So, Dr. Garrick Israelian is another astrophysicist, but it's really annoying me. It's like a fly in my ear now. It's like right at the window. It's not literally at the window, obviously, but like...
As long as it's not a black chopper, Kev, you're
no,
good.
these ones, no, dude. I can tell you without even looking, it's not a black one. It's that horrible noise.
Yeah, not chopper.
When you live this close to like Glasgow city centre, when the world's melting down and it's like 30 degrees in the dark, people are it's getting a bit mad out there, man.
It's disappointing when you always hear the choppers, but it's never the black chopper.
Not for me. Not for me. Not for me, dude. Not touch wood. Not for me. Bang, that would be a nightmare. But nobody would believe me. Nobody would believe me because of what I do.
Of course, right? That exactly. You see, nobody would believe me either.
That's why we don't tell anyone, Scott, isn't it? That's why, yes, we're persecuted by them. Yeah, the men in black. Ah! So anyway, Dr. Brian May, he's not in the helicopter. We've done him. Dr. Garrick Israelian, oy vey, is another astrophysicist known for his search on extrasolar planets, black holes, and neutron stars, and is known for his acoustic library of infrasounds produced by stars which cannot be heard by the human ear. However, he is better known for joining with Dr. May to create the Starmus International Festival in 2011 to celebrate astronomy, space exploration, music, art, and science. And the festivals have attracted musicians like Rick Wakeman and Tangerine Dream, and have featured Buzz Aldrin, Neil Armstrong, Stephen Hawking, Alexei Leonov, Jim Lovell, and more. So, yeah, there you go, dude. The sound of the stars. When you actually listen to the start of it, it sounds almost like there's a heartbeat in there. Sounds almost like an ultrasound of a pregnant lady or something, doesn't it? It's hardly going to be a pregnant man, Kev. I don't live in that type of world. But...
You know, when they're able to detect
cosmic waves and cosmic wind and turn that into a signal, you know?
Or like when a star is spinning so fast that it puts out a pulse.
Yep.
You know, and that's what you're hearing is the like pulsar sounds and stuff like that. Pretty interesting. Yeah, because you can use it as a beat. You know that.
As above,
Brian
so
E
below.
Was that droning sort of kind of music anyway? So very interesting.
Are we ready to get into some deep woo then, Scott? Would you like to take anything onto the back of the space there, or shall we go even deeper?
No, take us deeper into the woo, Kev.
Shall I? I found a couple of stories today that I think might tie in with some good woo. And this one here, this is definitely a good place for us to get into some good conversation, Scotty boy. Because we're almost going back down under, and we love it down under here. Yes, we do. Not quite, though. Not quite. Because this time we're going to be talking about the lost continent of Zealandia. Now, I'm not doing that's not like a weird German accent. Zealandia. No, it's Zealandia. Right? Das ist good, Zealandia. Oh, dearie me.
Oh,
Totally inappropriate. Cancel, Kev. I'm gone. That's it. But no, the lost continent. On you go, Scott.
Isn't New Zealand almost the antipodal point from where you live? So
Yeah.
maybe the true antipodal point in Scotland is located right at Zealandia. You're gonna have to check that on a map and see what's going on.
Something weird with me in down under. There is a weird woo connection going on.
You're an ancient Zealandian, Kev. That's what it is.
Scott, I'm gonna have to tell you my crazy ideas off air. I'm not ready to share my crazy ideas yet. Not on air. Not on it. I ain't ready to go there yet, but I'm ready to go to Zealandia. Do you think that's where Zoolander came from?
No.
You came from Zealandia, right?
Exactly. See?
Duh. Okay then. So the lost continent of get that over here so you can have a look at that. Yeah, the lost continent of Zealandia, which sank into the ocean 23 million years ago after breaking away from the supercontinent Gondwanaland, isn't technically a lost continent anymore. It was discovered in the 1990s and upgraded from a microcontinent in 2017. However, most of it submerged 2 million square miles remains a mystery. That will quite typically happen with pieces of land that fall into the ocean 23 million years ago. But it's good to see what it's going to say here. It says that changed this week with GNS Science, New Zealand's leading provider of Earth, geoscience and isotope research and consultancy services. So they unveiled 2 new maps of Zealandia and an open to the public interactive website with more data on Te Reo a Mui, or Zealandia, and the new name for the lost continent. Now, Te Reo a Mui, or Maui, translates to hills, valleys, and the plains of Maui, and the great East Polynesian ancestor explorer of the Pacific Ocean. Maui is the mythical ancestor of the Polynesians who explored the Pacific. And that is some size of land.
That is quite the chunk of...
yeah, I'll post that to the chat room over at... here we go. I put that into the chat room at TFR. It's almost like a big chunk of Australia. Like, you can imagine at one point, probably the two were joined on, right?
I'm sure there was a land bridge and everything between the two continents at one point where Australia connected to all that, and all that was probably above water as well. So, you know, we talk about all of this migration that probably occurred between the continents at some time, and you know, who knows how long that has really been, you know, how long had that land really been exposed for before it completely sank, you know. And then we talk about before the sea levels rised 400 feet, so that contributed a lot to that as well, about, you know, for how much of that mass would have been exposed above water too. You know, just irregardless of it sinking over time, you would think a 400-foot difference in sea level would also make a little bit of a difference as well. So I don't know, man. I just think that there was so much of the planet exposed or the surface, a rock surface exposed at one point where there was everybody was traveling around the planet, connecting with each other somehow.
And they were coming out of Australia. Trust me.
Exactly.
Yeah, you see. Do you know, Scott? Do you know? And we'll play it during tonight's show. But Mammoth is in the chat room. Hopefully she can give me the link again. We have got our very own piece of Didge music. Yeah. Professional didgeridoo player.
Awesome.
I know, dude. I'm like gobsmacked.
What?
Yeah, man. So we'll get into that. But before we go anywhere else, right? Before we go anywhere else, big shout out to my niece, Shelley, and her boyfriend, Declan. Shelley was down in my house today, Scott. And we had a good conversation. And it really hammered home to me why I get triggered so much by some of the LARPier stuff in the world. You know, there's so many people right now, and it's so encouraging to know that there's young people out there looking for truth, looking for how the world really works, because they get it. Some of them can see that, whoa, something far wrong here, right? But unlike when we woke up, Scott, we had it kind of easy, man. We did. We watched the alternative media grow. You know, it was just kind of a thing that was getting going, and there was pitfalls. The ambassador, they were there. But compared to people that are waking up now, I was just so angry because there's somebody desperate to know stuff. But when you go to Twitter, when you go to social media, because of the trends, some of the first thing they find, it might be some of the most off information you don't want them looking at, you know?
Yeah, I know. I get what you're saying, because like when we first started doing it, the information was a lot more pure and...
Yeah, it was a cleaner world back then. It's got a more simple place, right?
Yeah, like generally the information you were receiving was pretty solid most most of the time, because it's not like there was
of the
a lot. Like I said, you know, it was much easier then to sift through BS. I mean, you get duped every once in a while, but you know.
So yeah, so that was my afternoon. So a big shout out to Shelley, who's listening right now. She'll probably be embarrassed as hell that I brought her up, but no. And I tried to kind of steer her away from that part of things, and hopefully the next time she comes down, I'm going to be well prepared. I kind of got thrown in at the deep end, dude. You know, you're not usually presented with somebody right there in front of you, and you're thinking, wow, here's my chance to really alter a worldview. I must admit, I failed at the first hurdle. I must admit, I was kind of daunted. Whoa, I'm being met with all the things that I laugh at on air. Like, whoa, this is what happens, man. It all starts sounding the same, and I thought, oh, no. So, Shelley, you come back down. Yes, we will have another conversation or two, and probably a PPP on the way as well. And yeah, we'll get to sorting the world, and now we'll get back to Zealandia. Again, it sounds very German when I say that. Zealandia.
Yes. Zealandia.
That is
yes.
good. So we've made these maps to provide an accurate, complete, and up-to-date picture of the geology of New Zealand. And a big shout out to our listener on the South Island, I think. Can't remember your name, but I'll get it. And the Southwest Pacific area. Better than we have had before. And their value is that they provide a fresh context in which to explain and understand the setting of New Zealand's volcanoes, plate boundaries, and sedimentary basins. So it goes on, shows you a bit more of it there. But yeah, I just thought that'd be quite interesting. We've spoke about Zealandia before, and does make you wonder, Scotty boy, just what the world was like. Maybe not 23 million years ago, but and that time frame, I mean, 23 million years, what does that even mean to a couple of guys who probably don't ever need to count above 100? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. And I mean,
Pointless,
obviously it was after quite a few million years after the meteor that took out the dinosaurs hit. So I mean, who knows what was going on the planet at that point? A lot of crazy stuff. But now it just shows like how much stuff has been lost to the ocean, you know, over time and all of that. And yeah, it just makes you think about a lot of the stuff that like Dr. Randall Carlson and stuff talks about with the cycles of planetary disruptions and cataclysms and things like that.
Nibiru. No Nibiru. I don't have Nibiru for you folks, but what if I was to tell you that after the break you're going to get to meet what I think is going to be the new Slender Man? You know, we spoke about Siren Head not long ago, and Comet Man. Big shout out to Comet Man. He's in our Discord. He says, Kev. It was either his nephew or his cousin. They're talking about Siren Head. This is to be expected. It's out there. And the more people that talk about Siren Head, the more chance me and Scott are going to be here one week going, guess what? Siren Head had an effect in the real world. And it'll probably be a dark story. But I think I've got the new one. Now, I'm not going to get into it just yet, Scotty boy. We're going to leave people hanging for that. Make sure they hang about for hour number 2 right here on the network. Yes, and don't forget, we're on for 3 hours. And then right after this, we have got Brent Thomas coming up all the way from the US. And he is firing up the Paranormal portal as we speak. I can hear it in the background. And when it's Friday the 13th again, we will be back doing a woo-a-thon. I've already confirmed it with Brent, and I'm looking forward to that already, Scott. You would think we touched on all the woo there is to talk about the last time we got together. That's not the case, and I can guarantee we've got more than 5 hours worth to keep us going.
Yeah, we were just starting to scratch the surface of woo, actually, even after a 5-hour woo-a-thon. Like, we genuinely felt that we could keep... It was crazy.
Shelley, thank you very, very much. She's been really generous to me today, by the way. Dang, nothing like feeling old, Scott, right? When I was there the day Shelley came into the world, like literally in the hospital with her dad, when her mum was having her. And then there she is today. We're having that kind of conversation. Dang. Oh, that makes one feel old. Oh, horrible, man. Great conversation. Great to see you, Shelley. Damn, you reminded me how old I'm getting. Not good, Scotty, but... And I know, Scott, you're looking at me going, but Kev, you don't look a day over 30, man. I know. It's the good water that we've got here in the island, Scott. Honestly. And a really good cam and a filter and... Yeah. As you do.
Hey, it helps when you got your retro 80s graphics going to the back.
Isn't it great? Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Splendid graphics. Yes, indeed.
Splendid.
We need some Miami Vice music or something, man. Something cool like that, you know?
Yeah, you're going to have to find some royalty-free like synth wave or some vaporwave or something to play.
Leave it with me, big man. Leave it with me. But still to come on today's show, we're going to get into the Tulpa. We have also got a new species of prehistoric beastie from Australia. Yes, we're going back down.
Of course
We're going back to Australia, man. I'm going to have to get myself a hat with corks on it. And talking of Australia, how about we listen to the Didge music that was put together for the show? If I just bring this up here now and then pull this over to here, we'll be able to see the Didge. Let's see. Here we go.
Oh, is this the Didgeridoo?
Yeah, it's the Didge, man. It's the Didge dude.
Awesome.
Yep.
X.
Hang on. Get it in time for the break. There we go. Oh, get the volume up, Kev. That is some noise, isn't it, man? Yep. So that's the Didge, man. That's the Didge. And a big thank you to my uncle, Donnie, for that one. Donnie, I wish I could get down there somehow and I would walk that land with you, big man. I really, really do. I think I've got lots to learn from him yet.
That was some proper didgeridoo action going on there,
Scott,
dude.
we have a laugh, we have a joke, right? But from time to time, we do big stuff here on the show, and I don't think, maybe this is my fault, maybe I need to market this more, but you're talking about information that's probably never been heard before about the Aboriginal way of life and their customs. And Jess, Mammoth Hunter, for example, she lived with a mob, and that's what they call them, their clans, their families, mobs, for a number of months, and, you know, to get into it, to be accepted, and so they would, you know, talk to you and things. And here I am, some daft ass sitting in Glasgow doing a show, and I've got like these amazing people coming on, and they're sharing stories that I honestly think we're lucky to be hearing, dude. I can't speak like highly enough of it, you know?
It's awesome stuff, man. I mean, for them to have enough trust in you to tell you the stories and to get into all of that stuff. I mean, it's cool.
Keeping a stick with like a spearhead on the back door to ward off the crocodile, man. That's the kind of woo we're talking about, man. Deep woo. But yes,
deep woo.
Very deep woo. But that noise, and they were explaining to me, I had no idea. The didgeridoo, it basically makes itself, Scott. There's like ants that kind of eat out the inside of it and that. And the didgeridoo is basically, it comes as is, you know? Totally natural processes. I know, man. It's like, whoa, that's even cooler. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know that there was that kind of a deep...
Yep. And it's one day a month I get to pack my toxicity away, and I get to experience what a matriarchal system's like. And you know what? It rocks. It works. It's good, dude. I like it. Yeah. Get into that. I can get woke, man. As woke as an Australian could possibly get. Not very woke.
They're handling it the proper way down there in Australia.
Oh, big time, big time.
If they're gonna do it that way.
Yeah, we have a laugh and we joke, but Donnie, Luna, auntie, uncle, and sister Jess, I do mean that, we're doing some huge shows. I get goosebumps when I talk about that one, because I know it's one of the important ones. Not that they're not important, but there's some that just, I don't know, they hit that sweet note, right? They just do. And we're going to come back from the break in a moment. ZX says he fakes the didge. I think he told me he had one at one point. I think he's probably saying he can't quite play it as good as the big man now. That is some, that gets you going, dude. That would be enough, man. Very much like the bagpipes in that way, yeah? It kind of gets to your core. Yeah.
Yeah, there's something about the sound that really...
Yeah. Gets inside you, man. Big time.
Mm-hmm.
Big time. So when we come back, we'll meet the new Tulpa. I almost forgot where we were going. Yeah. This one's got a good chance of taking off, by the way, and we'll see why we get in. Yeah, I do. I've got high hopes for this one. Not that like I'm sitting here waiting for Tulpas to emerge, but here we go. I sound pretty sick, don't I? There's all sorts going off in the clown world. We've got the Wookiees. Might as well play that one more time since I am an absolute clown for that one. Yes, indeed. But folks,
God.
hour number 2. It's only going to get crazier from this point forward. And I got Scott Lopez with me. I'm Kev Baker, and you can hear me on the Kev Baker Show every week right here on tfrlive.com, your #1 network, where we give you protection from deception. Silence is consent. And before the break, we were getting into a bit of Didge music, which is wow, amazing. Big shout out to Uncle and Auntie Donnie and Luna. Got that the wrong way around. Luna should have came first. See, I'm learning. But Sister Jess as well, our very own resident archaeologist / co-host when I need an Australian co-host. You see, we've got it all covered here, right? But
Let me say that. Who else could say, look, I got my Australian co-host on tap?
You know what I'm saying? We've got somebody in Poland that sends us links for the show. It's a very diverse, multicultural experience I offer here.
It is. Very.
Yeah, don't
inclusive,
shout too. Now that I
very
think
inclusive.
about it, I need to change. So I'll need to change it. I can't be too woke. But we're going to talk about tulpas now. And quick crash course for anyone who might not know what the heck I'm talking about when I'm talking about a tulpa. Well, a tulpa, Tulpa, is the concept in mysticism and the paranormal of a being or an object which is created through spiritual or mental powers. It was adapted by the 20th century theosophists from Tibetan Sprul Pa, which means emanation or manifestation. So one of the best examples would have to be this fella here, the Slender Man. I'm sure everyone can picture what the Slender Man looks like. But that started off, correct me if I'm wrong, Scott, competition on Creepypasta. One of these websites come up with some kind of character, something like that, yeah?
It's posted on one of those sites where they just have people come up with creepy stories and they call it creepypasta, and then they just post it up there. Yeah, that's where the Slender Man originated from, one of those creepypasta things.
A mere figment of somebody's imagination. The mechanisms of the mind that somebody put into a story. But it went way beyond a story, didn't it? Because it's had movies made about it. It's had books written about them. And unfortunately, it's had a very devastating effect in the real world for 3 young girls. I believe 2 of them are still in jail, probably for a long time, Scott, because of what happened under the influence of the Slender Man. How can the Slender Man, a story from the internet, influence people? Well, that's a tulpa. You start to give it energy, and it can literally manifest in the real world. Now, people might say, oh, that was just some defense that they were putting up. Okay. You know, this is something that we've talked about before, Scott, the tulpas. You've got the X-Files, the trash man, when he makes the character and comes off the graffiti and becomes real. And it's, as we found out there, from Tibetan kind of mysticism. And we spoke about Siren Head, remember him? With the Siren Head dude as well?
Yep.
Yep. Well, the Siren Head is pretty weird looking, I must admit. Now, I haven't seen any stories of that, like people saying, I think I've seen the Siren Head yet. But we've got a new one to keep our eye on. And it's one that goes by the name of, and I need to find it here. It goes by the name of Sky Man. Because the Blair Witch director has made a new film, Scott. Yeah. You see why I'm thinking it's got potential now. A lot of eyes on it. A lot of an attention on it. A lot of focus. And then, you know what that does? That can cause little ripples into the old quantum field out there. And before you know it, people will be seeing Skyman in their dreams. So it says the director of the Blair Witch Project is back with a new found footage movie about an alien visitor. Back in 1999, Daniel Myrick and Eduardo Sanchez's iconic low-budget found footage hit proved so successful that it popularized an entire genre and left cinema audiences questioning whether or not what they had seen was entirely fictional. Now, I must admit, even though I'd kind of heard the hype about the Blair Witch, when I watched it, Scott, there was part of me thinking, but what if?
And you got to remember, okay, so this was 1999, and not a lot of people had access to the internet and stuff like that. So, a lot of what was going on around then was word of mouth stuff, and you were able to. It was a lot easier to generate a basically urban legend sort of spread of. Like it was a form of viral marketing through like urban legend kind of thing going on. So it was like everybody was hearing about this Blair Witch Project stuff, and everyone, people were thinking that the footage was real, and it was, you couldn't just jump online and that easy back then. Just a lot of people just kind of just took it as kind of rumor or whatever. But yeah, they generated a lot of buzz and a lot of hype around that movie. That's why it was so successful. So,
and the
it's
reason
interesting.
I think this one has got potential.
Yeah, because if they're going to do that same form of urban myth, urban legend, then they're going to be generating a lot of hype around this Skyman thing. No doubt.
There's a trailer out for it already.
Interesting.
Yeah, obviously not going to play the trailer or anything. Not very good for radio trailers, but Skyman. Keep an eye for it, folks. I know it sounds weird, but I am weird. I'm a bit wacky, and it's going to be interesting to keep an eye on. It says here now, Merrick. Yeah, we got that. Returning with a newfound footage movie, Skyman, which takes the form of a faux documentary covering the activities of a man who, determined to prove that mankind is not alone, he said, you just need to listen to this show, attempts to reunite with an alien visitor that he encountered decades ago as a child. So speaking to Sci-Fi Wire, Merrick explained that the movie is heavily influenced by his own childhood in Florida, where he once formed a UFO club with his friends. Very interesting. It was in the late 70s, early 80s, when UFOs and Bigfoot and things like the Bermuda Triangle were all the rage. Yeah, and the 2020s. It's not dated.
Yeah,
we can talk about that stuff.
Yeah. The woo is still all the rage. What's this guy talking? I'm
offended. I'm absolutely offended. You should be cancelled for your outrageous treatment of the woo. You've offended the woo. He told me. So it says here, me and my friends did a lot of research on abductions and whatnot. Now, in the 70s and 80s, it must have been pretty tiresome to do research on alien abductions. Because there would only be, like, books about it, right? It wasn't like a booming kind of blue chicken kind of conspiratorial business going on back then, was there? Well, I suppose he was Edgar Casey at one point, wasn't he? So, who knows? Maybe. But, no. Keep your eyes open for the Skyman. Yes. So if you were going to name a character, Scott, you were going to have like something that you were going to put into a movie, and, create a tulpa. I mean, we can't have the Mothman. We've had that. What would you go for, dude?
Oh, I don't.
Pterodactyl boy. He'd have like freakishly long, scissor-handish, like wingy arms.
I'll just call him like
big mad face that opens up like that. Ah! One of them.
Pterodactyl or something like that.
Pterodactyl, I like it, man. I like it.
Yeah. Pterodactyl.
Pterodactyl, indeed. I think we've got our super chat coming in here. Shelley, yes. Hey, thank you very much. Very much indeed. Yeah, tell you.
Gracias.
Gracias. I think we've got potential, Scotty boy. I'm going to bring one to the ranks of the awakened. Not the woke, the awake. Yes, indeed.
Yes.
That's my mission.
Big difference.
Yeah, this is going to be my case study, folks. This will be my case study, right? I'll get Shelley from one place to the good place, the promised land, the woo, right? Telling you it's going to happen. You can see it now. Right, what else have we got here? Prehistoric beasties, Scott. How can they just be discovering a new prehistoric beastie over in Australia? But they have. And I don't think this is it. I don't know if that's it. Looks a very modern type photo, that. So I don't know. But a prehistoric Australian gentle giant identified as a new species. So it says a wombat-like marsupial that was as big as a bear and lived in Australia that was lucky, another 2 million years, and it might have fallen into the sea in Zealandia. Right? So
yeah, it was around the same time when Zealandia was still kicking around.
We
so
fired up the old time machine today, Scott, did we not? Crank it up.
Woo!
Yeah, big time. So 25 million years ago in the late Oligocene period has been identified as a new species. It's called Mucaprina nambensis, from the Aboriginal words muku, which means bones, and perna, which means big. And it is one of the oldest Australian marsupials to have ever been discovered. In fact, Muku perna nambensis is the only genus and species of an entirely new family called Mucuperindae, which is part of the Vombatiform taxonomic group that includes species such as koalas and wombats. Now, koalas and wombats are amazing animals, especially the drop bear koala. They're the most deadly ones, folks. Watch out for the drop bears when you go down there, right? Animals like Mucuperna show that their extinct relatives were even more extraordinary, and many of them were giants, stated Dr. Robin Beck of the University of Salford and the lead author of the study. So you're telling me this little thing here, can you imagine the pent-up little guy syndrome this thing has? I mean, all little guys have got an attitude. I've got it. But imagine knowing that your ancestors were the size of a bear and could fight anything, and now it looks like that. Oh, that's got issues, man. That's got ancestral daddy issues, big time.
Poor little guy. He just.
Bruce, you can't shove one of them on the Barbie. Not the Mucapuna. No, mate. So, the well-preserved remains of its skull and partial skeleton were found in 1973. It took you how long? I was looking at a clock I don't even have on my wrist there, man. That's how mad I've gone today, Scott. In the clay floor of Lake Pinpa, which is a remote, dry salt lake that's located east of the Flinders Ranges in South Australia. So the team was actually very lucky that the remains were found, and it was an extremely serendipitous discovery because in most years the surface of the dry lake is covered by sands blown or washed in from the surrounding hills. And that was from Professor Michael Archer of the University of New South Wales. It goes on to say that the creature was at least, 3 to 5 times bigger than modern wombats and close to the size of a panda, as it weighs between 143 and 171 kilograms. Now that's a whopping 315 pounds to 377. That's a bit of a beast, Scott.
That's a big wombat. That's a big wombat-like creature.
Bruce, run! Get out of there, man.
Look, it had to fight the giant kangaroos, remember?
Yep. Oh, remember those bad boys, man? And then the other, we've got the walking crocodiles as well. We've got a crocodile man that kicks up it.
Look, man, you had to be a different breed of creature living down in Australia because there was a lot going on.
The fact that any human survived walking crocodiles and fighting combats. Not a fighting combat, but it was definitely a wombat, right? And a kangaroo, maybe a kangaroo met a wombat, and they had happy time.
It was wombat combat, baby.
You think
That's
so?
what it was.
So
Yeah.
I was thinking about this today when I looked at this story, and I thought this would be quite a good thing to kind of talk about and probably make fools of ourselves over. But you look at that animal there, and I don't know if they've got DNA, right? I don't know how viable it is. But you know where I'm going. You got all these other dinosaurs and museums and all the rest of it around the world. Play samples, Scott. With what we know about genetics now, right? And I get it. The world, the environment ain't quite the same. But would you be up for creating some kind of Jurassic Park? Because I would. I would.
Why not? Just go for it.
For Freaky Friday, we'll go for it, right? Definite, man.
Well, I mean, we've already came this far in 2020. Might as well just go.
Yeah, opening next week. You know, we've just happened to rustle up a Jurassic Park. You know.
Yeah, why not? Just go for it. That's what I'm saying now. We've crossed the event horizon.
You
You know,
probably
there's
just
no
read that. See the headline and go, oh, right, 2020. Why not?
Yeah.
Clown
there's
world.
no brakes. There's no brakes on this train, so I just say go for it, man.
It makes you wonder though how. I mean, obviously we were talking about the virtual stuff earlier on, right? But you would imagine that there's still going to be that physical world that we interact with, and people will choose to go the physical way. So, how do you make theme parks better? How do you make the zoos of the 2020s? I tell you what you do. You get Craig Venter with his mad, crazy genetic machines, and you start rattling off new dinosaurs, littler ones, tamer ones. We can do anything we want, dude. You know?
Tamed dinosaurs.
Well, tamish. Still want it to scare you a bit, or else it's not the same. Do you know what I mean?
Kev wants like a tamed T-Rex or something that he can.
That's just for me personally, but I've also got the idea for a game show where we vote out a politician every week, and when I say we vote them out to Jurassic Park. Yeah, yeah, they're not domesticated, isn't there? No, it's a different game in there, Scott. Mm-hmm. That's another part of my.
I like the game show. That's a very interesting
it's just
game
one
show.
of many game shows that doesn't end well for people that have stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's usually, that's the thing with game shows, right? It's like your average Joe or Jane, you know, your next door neighbour. Everyone's got a chance of winning something. Rarely do you see game shows with the 1% on there, though. So you got to make those ones with a bit of a twist, right? You have to. Big time. Big time. I'm losing the plot. What can I say, man? It's one of these days, you know? What else have we got in here in the grab bag of mysteries? Let me just have a look. Let me have a look-sees. No, we can't do that, can we? Would it be just too Australian if we went back there again, Scott?
How synchronistic, though, because you were just talking about Crocodile Man.
It's going to be about the Crocodile Man, isn't it? Will we try it? If it is, it's going to be bizarre, right? Because we were talking about the Crocodile Man on the Australian show at the weekend. So, if Nick Redfern is writing about the Crocodile Man... I joked the other day because he done a story. Guess what he done a story on, Scott? The magic of the trees.
Oh.
No, I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll do it. We'll go for it. We're going back down under. You made me do it. So monster reptiles living in Australia. Well, it's got potential, I must admit. So let's see where it takes us, folks. It is feasible that the subtropical rainforests of Australia are home to gigantic man-eating lizards of 20 to 30 feet in length. Such monsters lurk in the swamps, the lagoons, and the inland waters of Australia, Oh, get out.
Absolutely.
Get out of here. Could Jurassic Park-like beasts really remain hidden, undetected, and free to rampage around in unstoppable fashion? Witnesses to the creatures say that that is exactly what is happening. As for the creature itself, it's not something created out of the minds of a fantasy-driven and the deluded. Oh, this is going exactly to where it was, wasn't it? I know it is already. I'm getting that creepy feeling. Hairs are going up on the back of the neck, Scott.
A synchronicity, my
Oh,
friend.
dang. Thousands of years ago, Australia really was home to such immense beasts. The question is, do they still live despite the fact that they have been declared completely and utterly extinct in the long past? Just maybe they are still with us. Now, we've got a super chat coming in here in a second. Scott, what's your thoughts so far? Do you think, even not just Australia, I'll broaden it, like anywhere around the world, the rainforest, Amazon, do you think there's like big creatures maybe that we still don't know?
Absolutely. There's so much unexplored area of the planet that there are definitely undiscovered species and things that we either think is extinct and is actually still alive, or just a completely new species that we've never even come across.
Woo us Kevin Scotty. PPP lol wacka wacka, shadow people and quantum stuff soon. Please?
Please, quantum. Waka Waka? That sounds like Australian. There's actually a cricket ground called the Waka. It might be the Wagga, but I'm sure it's the Waka. I know the Australians will keep me right anyway. But, yeah, I'm with you, dude. I'm with you. I think there could be
areas where there could be just like freakishly huge crocodiles that are much larger than anything that we really come.
I mean, how long do crocodiles live, Scott? There's some old beasties, right? Some of them.
I mean, I don't know how old they actually. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, reptiles usually live for quite a long time. I would think. I mean, just depending, but yeah, I mean, in the
70 to 100 years, man.
Yeah, see, so and then we're talking about a species that is literally a dinosaur, right? Like it never really evolved much from the time of the dinosaurs. So yeah, I mean, you're gonna get like freak creatures and just stuff that we haven't even come across, no doubt.
Freak creatures. That's a brilliant name for a podcast.
Freak creatures. Yeah.
Live with the freak creatures. That'd be awesome, man. The creatures in question went by the name of Megafauna prisca, a huge, vicious monitor lizard that roamed Australia at least as late as 40,000 years ago. Now, it got its name thanks to Richard Owen, a paleontologist in the 1800s, a man who has gone down in history as coining the term dinosauria, or in English, terrible reptile. Generally referred to as megalania, its title very appropriately translates to ancient giant butcher. So that's what, like, the local Aboriginal people were saying about this thing. It's a butcher. Well, that gives you an idea, I think, then, of maybe some of the what happened to some people at the hands of these things, then, right?
Yeah, you wouldn't want to come across one of these things. It's basically like going against a really, really fast giant kimono dragon.
I think this is where, like, oldie lizard breath comes from.
Lizard, right?
I think this is like her lineage, oldie lizard breath. Charlie Robinson called her lizard death the other night on the show. I nearly wet myself. but could be.
I'm sure it could move much faster than she can, though. Just saying.
Oh man, talking of Australians and reptiles and queens, Max Egan absolutely incandescent with rage the other day, and rightly so. I think it's a prime minister they've got down there, right? Do you know he swore an oath to the Queen of Australia? Who the hell's the Queen of Australia? Yeah, exactly. And you can find that on Max's channel, the Crow House, folks. He rightly flipped out. Rightly. So yeah, talking of queens, talking of lizards. Let's get back to Australia after the break. Where did that go? Time slip. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, folks. You see, I told you we're not going anywhere. We're still here. Yes, indeed. So, Scott, I'm going to slip on some tunes, man. And
excellent.
Get a little drink. Get myself ready for the second half of the show. We'll get back into our Australian woo. Maybe in hour number 3, maybe we should open up the phones for some woo. It's got to be deep woo, though.
Yeah, it's got to be super deep
it's got to
woo.
be super duper creepy woo. Not too dark. We'll see. We'll see when we get there. Let's get some tunes on, Baker. Shut it. Nobody's here to listen to you. I know. It's Dave talking. It's all right. What are you giggling at, Scott?
Oh, Mr. Baker.
In the world. Oh, deep breaths. People are like, what are they laughing at? Oh, dearie. Yes, if you would like your emoji on the front screen, just join our Discord. Rush! You better hurry because the world's ending again. Oh, again, Scott. Many times has it ended now? Here we go. Here we go. Oh, dear Lord.
Excuse me, it's ma'am.
Indeed it is. The Wookiee is having issues. Yes, indeedy, we're back. We're live. Second half of the show today. I hope you are having even an ounce of as much fun as myself and Scott are having here. It's that whole Mercury retrograde thing. I'm going to blame it on that. But we've got more to worry about than Mercury retrograde. What if I was to tell you that the world is ending again? And what if I was to tell? Of course it's Scott.
Of course it is, man. Dude, it's the thumbnail. It's the thumbnail that he used for his video that just...
Okay, you don't need to hear it from me or Scott. We'll let you listen to Pastor Begley. We've not listened to this, to be fair, but
it's going to get very intense, guys. We're going to see all kinds of different things happening, and so it's very important that people realize that in the last days, the Bible talks about there'll be brimstone and fire falling from the heavens. And the earth is going to be going through a lot of heavens are shaking and quaking. The earth.
Now, to be fair, Scott, as somebody who does like to have a laugh, if kind of by the sounds of the start of this video, he's not really talking about the end of the world like the headline suggests, right? More the times that even you and I, and in particular when I'm with Bill Bean, we talk about how we're in that time period that the Bible talks about. I know that me and Bill don't talk about that being the end of the world. It's certainly a pivotal time period. But will I give like Mr. Begley a pass on this one, Muller? Will we?
No, no, don't give Begley a pass, dude.
No, he doesn't get a pass.
Dude.
No, not even in this Mercury retrograde, Paul. No.
Every time Begley makes a video, it's the end of the world, Kev. So
seriously. So although blood moons are a frequent and perfectly natural phenomenon, they're often linked to prophecies about the end of the world. Prominent Christian evangelist and the host of the TV show The Coming Apocalypse believes blood moons and other signs will signal the imminent return of Jesus Christ. Pastor Paul Begley from West Lafayette in Indiana, US, is certain an upcoming partial eclipse is one of these signs. Now, Scott, let me approach it this way, because I've sometimes thought about this. I've had this conversation with my mum, with Bill, with a few people, and I think that if I had been around in World War II, I would have been looking at what was going on around me, and I would have been absolutely looking at the signs as telling me we were coming into that period of time that we ourselves now feel we're experiencing. Now, think even further back before we got knowledge of what blood red moons meant and things like that. You know, I would imagine every generation has signs that can be interpreted as the end of the world. So it's pretty subjective, right? It's us that says it lines up with this story. It's us that kind of try to see, oh, we're in this bit. And I mean, let's face it, right now with everything going on and talking about putting DNA altering kind of substances into, I mean, Mark of the Beast, more talk of that than ever. I can see that. Absolutely justified. But, but does it come every generation, Scott?
Well, yeah, I mean, you've always had your groups of people who believed that the world was going to end very soon, you know, like within their lifetime at any kind of given point in history, and especially in times of turmoil, right? Like, look at how many death cults existed during the medieval times, especially during the plague, right? Because to them, to a lot of people, that seemed like the end of the world, right? That everybody was dying around them, and there was it just so it's going to spark that kind of thing. And so when you have like a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world, which obviously 2020 is a pretty crazy year, right? I mean, there's a lot of craziness going on. You're going to have a lot of people that push that whole thing. And say what you will, I guess you can say that Begley has a lot of material to work with for 2020, doesn't he? If he's going if he's gonna do his thing, which what, for better or worse,
I must admit,
it's generally for the worse. But
when you look at the world just now, though, right? I mean, damn, if ever there was a time that it looks like things are getting pretty crazy.
It ain't hard for Begley to work with what's going on. That's the thing. So, I wasn't aware of a blood moon. I thought that was the big asteroid or the big.
I'm still trying to roll with the punches of Mercury, man.
We also got the Saharan dust. Have you guys been hearing about the?
Charlie Robinson, I think, told me about that. The user are going to get hit with that. We've had that a couple of times where the cars get covered in like the orange rain and the sand coming down.
Yeah. The big Saharan dust cloud has traveled across the.
Sounds like a rock concert, doesn't it? Where were you? Did you go and see the big Saharan dust cloud? Yeah, man, they were jamming.
Yeah, man, I saw Saharan dust cloud. They were so awesome, bro.
Saharan dust cloud. That's a good name for a band, actually. Not the kind of band you listen to, though. The kind of band you listen to have got some crazy names, dude.
Hey, it could be the name for a stoner metal band. Saharan dust cloud. Yeah. So
we're going with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We'll go with it.
Well, there is another story I think I'll bring up just now. I only done it quickly on a stream. I think this is pretty significant, to be honest with you. And in recent times, we've done a lot of talking about the ancient world, Clava cairns in particular, up near Inverness, the Pictish stone circles, plural, and probably still more to be found, I would imagine. But Stonehenge is probably the most famous megalithic site in the world, and they're still finding new stuff down there. I don't know if you caught this one, Scott, but check this out, dude. Scientists find
Yeah. I saw this.
Pretty cool.
This is interesting.
Yeah, we'll not do all of it. Just get the bare basics. It says archaeologists said Monday that they've discovered a major prehistoric monument under the earth near Stonehenge that could shed new light on the origins of the mystical stone circle in southwestern England. And experts from a group of British universities led by the University of Bradford say that the site consists of at least 20 huge shafts, more than 10 metres in diameter and 5 metres deep, forming a circle more than 2 kilometres in diameter. Now, I was cracking the joke, Scotty, that the only other circular kind of things I know with diameters like that are firing particles around them. But I'm not going that far. I'm not going that far yet. But it says the new find is at Durrington Walls, the site of a Neolithic village about 2 kilometres from Stonehenge, and researchers say that the shafts appear to have been dug around 4,500 years ago and could mark the boundary of a sacred area or precinct around a circular monument known as the Durrington Walls Henge. Now, a lot of could mark this, may do that. I think we're pretty much still at the guessing game here, Scott, of what's really going on there. Stonehenge, one site, you see all that grass around it. Can you imagine if you were able to strip all that back, what you would see?
That's what I was just about to say. a lot of these sites extend much farther and are much they're covered by a pretty good layer of earth. So if you were to able to strip back a lot of the vegetation and kind of dig down a little deeper, I mean, there is a lot more to this stuff than what we're able to see. I mean, you got to wonder how much farmland is out there, you know, in that area that the farmers don't even realize that, like, their fields are probably a lot of these old sites that are just covered up. And they might think that, oh, there's like a rolling hill on my property or a rolling hill in my field, but it's actually covering something up, you know. And how many of those are there out there? I bet there's a lot. To me, it makes me think of like the Egyptian excavations, right? Like there's only a very, very small percentage that they've actually dug up in Egypt, and there's so much that's under the sand that nobody knows about. It's the same here. I mean, we're only, like, Stonehenge is only a very small fraction of what is actually, I would say, covered up in a lot of cases, or needs to be excavated. So yeah, it's cool that they found that, though.
Someplace,
What purpose did it serve, and what purpose did this new place that they found serve? Well, it's probably going to be a mystery, just like the hinges, right?
I think there was something obviously pretty ceremonial to it, you know, with the linings, the alignments. But at the same time, I think there's something more going on there. Whether it's tapping into ley line energy, earth energy, natural energies, I don't know.
My gut, and I always try to go with my gut when I get my gut feeling about Stonehenge is, I've always had the feeling of a very Stargate-ish thing to it, and I don't know why. Like, something always, when I think of Stonehenge, I think of like people standing in it and then just like teleporting out or something. It's always had that aspect to it for me for some reason, and I don't know why, but
No, there's something magical for me as well. I'd never thought about the Stargate thing, but I do look at it potentially as some piece of technology. Doesn't look like any technology we have, but technology all the same. Even if it was just the, you know, maybe chanting or music and vibrating around that kind of structure.
I mean, even if it, look, if they're utilizing it to tap into natural energetic ley lines, and then yeah, I mean, you're talking about an area of a natural portal, natural vortex kind of situation. And even if it's just for the purpose of channeling energies and stuff as well, right? Doing ceremonies or something in the middle of it, you could definitely, there's definitely a lot of woo going on at the Stonehenge, I think.
I wouldn't mind going down there for the solstice, man. That'd be a blast. Definitely, I'd be up for a bit of that. Yeah, I'd probably shake a chicken foot high and wide. But hey, you got to do everything once, right? But we come back to the story here. We'll just see what else it has to say about it. And it says, Richard Bates of the University of St Andrews School of Earth and Environmental Sciences said that the findings made with remote sensing and sampling provided an insight to the past that shows even more complex society than we could ever imagine. Speak for yourself, Richard Bates. I'm pretty sure we all expand our imagination when it comes to these topics, and
yeah, like, finally they're having to admit, all of a sudden they're acting like it gave them this whole new insight, and they were much smarter than we.
Remember when they used to just say, oh, it's an anomaly, if they didn't understand it? It's just random. It's an anomaly. At least now they're saying, well, yeah, kind of, we know nothing. We know nothing. So it says, the University of Bradford archaeologist Vince Gaffney said it was remarkable that Stonehenge, one of the most studied archaeological landscapes in the world, could yield such a major new discovery. And when these pits were first noted, it was thought that they might be natural features, solution hollows in the chalk, he said. But geophysical surveys allowed scientists to join the dots and see that there was a pattern on a massive scale. And Britain is dotted with stone circles. Yeah, the ones we know about, and then thousands more. Built thousands of years ago for reasons that remain mysterious. Well, I like that. That's actually pretty cool, Scott. At least they're saying it's a mystery. But the most famous Stonehenge is a monument built between 3000 BC and 1600 BC that is one of Britain's most popular tourist attractions. It is also the spiritual home for thousands of druids and mystics who visit at the summer and the winter solstices. Though this weekend solstice celebrations were scuttled by a ban on mass gatherings. All they had to do was have a protest, and you would have been absolutely jamming with your chicken feet and all the rest of it going on. You see? Think, folks. Think you gotta use the system, man.
Pro tip. That's Kev's pro tip for the evening is if you're gonna have any kind of mass gathering, just make sure you let them know that it's a protest first.
Yes.
Then you're fine.
You're
You'll be good.
exercising your freedom of speech and freedom to wave the chicken feet. And everyone, Scott,
Are you ready to have a
about it.
protest? Are you ready to have a protest at the beach, Kev?
Nah. Well, yeah, if it's at the beach, yeah, definitely. Big time, Scott. Yes,
Are you ready to
Yes.
have a protest at the beach?
I'm all protested out. The whole Occupy thing finished me, Scott. That was it. My time was done. I've seen one of them getting co-opted. I watched it turning into an absolute shambles. Been there. Another T-shirt that lies in the wardrobe of T-shirts, you know. Dang, we've been through some stories, dude.
How many T-shirts do you think Begley has?
Oh, lots. Like, he's probably lived through a lot more end of the worlds than I have. Definitely. Oh, right, hang on now. I think we might have the location of the Lost Ark. Ready for a bit of that, Scott? Good website. Good website.
Okay. I like
Yeah, ancient origins. Yeah.
Very good website.
Oh, nice picture. What do you think it looked like when it was in its glory, man? When it was like covered in marble and, you know, the gold capstone on it. If it was a gold capstone, what do you think?
I think you were definitely seeing some kind of energy beam or something shooting out of the top of it. No doubt. There was some kind of a energy grid that was set up involving that.
Yeah, the horizon of Giza probably looked like my cool graphics. Glowing.
It
Absolutely
did.
glowing. Yeah, the energy just flowing off it, Scott. That's what we'll do. We'll get the pyramid on it for next week. But anyway, let's get back to this. It says here, the location of the Lost Ark. Mecca. Oh well, it answered it in the headline. It could have built it up, couldn't it? It could have like left a bit of suspense for us there, Scott, couldn't it? You know, could the Ark of the Covenant be hidden in plain sight, where thousands of pilgrims congregate at a holy site, unaware of the significance that this may hold for world religions? Well, a study of ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, references to the probable original purpose of the pyramids, and the symbolism of the winged disc, as well as a look at the ancient gods of Sumer and Egypt, may reveal the location of the Lost Ark. It would be quite hopeless for anyone to gear up to set out on an Indiana Jones quest and adventure to unveil the Ark, for it is no doubt heavily guarded, and the city wherein it is secreted away is under strict, or is itself under strict border control, admitting only such visitors who can answer questions that would tax the memory mind of a chaser. Right, I need to read that again. It says, admitting only such visitors who can answer questions that would tax the memory mind of a chaser. So, the keepers of the Ark this day may still be unaware that the Ark is not one of a kind, which should give new heart to those adventurers who want to be the one to unveil it once and for all. That features heavily in the theories for the Oak Island. I don't know if I'm an Ark kind of Covenant guy, but that's a big theory, Scott, right? You know, those Templars, if they took something of great value, it could be. I don't think it is, but you never know.
Yeah, I mean, you just don't know. And I definitely think that the Ark is out there somewhere. You know,
Probably in a Rothschild collection. Or maybe a lizard breath keeps her socks in it or something. Probably. Yeah, probably keeps Philip's old stinking shoes in it. You know what I mean?
It's down in the bottom of some deep underground military facility being used to
summon demons.
Summon something. Yeah, who knows? But
what do you think it was, man? So, it was I think it was something obviously nuclear, radioactive. You hear about people getting ill around it. I know Graham Hancock, he went to that church in Ethiopia where it's claimed there's something there. And all the people that end up the keeper of that thing, they end up cataract and going blind. And I mean, come on, this is like radiation sickness people are getting in there.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at like what happened to all of the people who interacted with it and all of that stuff, I mean, it's like the classic description of radiation poisoning and radiation sickness. So, I mean, we're obviously talking about some kind of piece of technology that you utilized a nuclear reaction and radioactive.
Death ray, man. Death ray, definitely. Maybe. Who knows, dude?
Maybe.
Who knows, man? So we come down, and it says, you know, there's another thing though. Not one of a kind. That's something new to me as well. I think I've heard that before. That it's not. Maybe there's more than one. Have you ever heard that? Heard of that?
I think I've heard that as well. I mean, I haven't looked too much into it, but it does sound like familiar.
So Gerald Massey, 1828 to 1907, an English poet and writer on spiritualism and ancient Egypt, made several references in his 1907 book, Ancient Egypt, Light of the World, to the Ark. So there had been various kinds and forms of the celestial and astronomical ark that was at first necessitated as the means of carriage for the gods, because the heavens had been imaged as the firmamental water. Child Horus, on his papyrus reed, was in the ark that saved him from the waters. And as the sign was constellated in the planisphere of Dendera, the Pleiades. That's been coming up a lot as well. The Pleiades formed an ark. Orion was the ark of the holy Sahus, with Horus at the lookout, and the ark of Tat was in the crescent moon that sailed the azure deep by night. A deluge was the modus operandi, and the ark the means of safety for the few. In space it was the ark of the 4 quarters, hence also the 4 square box that imaged the ark of Noah. No, on the well-known Apamian coin. In Akar, or Amenta, it was the ark of Osiris. In earth, the ark of Seb. In heaven, the ark of Ra. The mainmast was the pole. The nightlight on the masthead was the pole star. In the myth, it was the ark of Ra, the bark of millions of years. Read more. Okay, no, you have to become a member to read more. When did that become a member website? When did they do that? Oh, when did they do that? Free content. Oh, wow. When did they do that, Scott?
Come on, Ancient Origins. Just give us the goods. Just give us the goods.
That's
and,
it.
and we'll
No,
we'll be.
I'm disgusted. I'm throwing my woo in the corner and I'm not playing anymore. Taking my woo off me, man. What am I do?
From the nugget that they gave us to work with,
I know. God, that used to
but
be a really good website. Really good. That one story, it's tainted my experience with the ancient origins altogether, Scott. Won't be going back there, but it's okay because we're at the end of hour number 2 and we've still got 1 hour to go. And when we come back, who knows what rabbit holes await us? We will be diving into a couple of more topics, and you never know, we might even put on the phones as well. And remember, don't go anywhere after we finish. We do have 1 hour to go. But Brent Thomas will be on the way with the Paranormal Portal, and he will get you into some deep woo. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Yes, indeed, troops, and I need to go and take care of a little man in the toilet. And would you like me to put some tunes on, Scott, or would you? Yes,
for it.
tunes.
And someone in the chat said Ancient Origins gave you the Gaia special. That's what it was.
They done what? Let you
They
try?
gave you
Yeah,
Gaia-
they let you
the
get
Gaia
hooked on it. Yep.
Yeah, it was the Gaia special. That's what it was.
Yep. I'm quite irked at that, as you can tell. We're gonna have words, me and Ancient. Oh, Kev Baker show flying up there. Eee. What can I say? We'll just have to live with it. Hey, we'll be back in a couple of moments. Don't go anywhere. If I can find the music. Will we have some scary music instead? Yes, here we go. That's some creepy ass music. If that was like on the start of a Netflix horror show, I'd be getting ready about lots of bad words. Lots of them.
It definitely does have the whole creepy, spooky vibe. They got that down on that little piano
Now,
tune.
talking for people into Netflix, tomorrow, Dark is back. It's that weird, time slippy, 3 different. Oh, I'm not going to give anything away. Get into it, folks. It's awesome. You watch that one, Scott? No? Oh. Deep woo, deep woo. Yep, you go into a tunnel. into a tunnel and you come out and oof, a different time. But it's like
Oh.
spread over 3 generations, so they all kind of interact and things. It's really good. Here we go. Hour number 3 on this week's Freaky Friday. I tell you, I can't believe we're already back here, Scott. Another week almost behind us already, and we'll be into July the next time we hook up for Freaky Friday. That's insane, Scott.
Yeah, 4th of July is coming up here pretty quick.
Looking forward to that. You're gonna be setting off big explosions like you usually do every year.
Yeah, I think this 4th is going to be a very interesting. It's going to be very interesting this year to see what all goes down on the 4th. It's going to be a crazy day. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, record numbers of fireworks sales. They're just like everybody's angry. Everybody's angry, Kev. They're ready to blow some crap up on the 4th. And
yeah, dang, dude, it's crazy times. It's 2020. So who knows, you know, what one day follows the next, what it's going to bring, you know. But earlier on today when I was having a look around for some stuff, I came across, it's like a set of ghost stories. And we'll go for it. We'll try one. We'll see what it's like. I've got other stuff here we can get into as well. But the name of this ghost story is Mysterious Fingerprints. So it says, my children and I have all witnessed fingerprints on our mirrors after they have been cleansed and after showering on my son's door. We had our home built in 2014 and my oldest daughter saw a spirit of a little girl in her room. She slept with me for the longest time. And when she told my oldest son, who has an apartment in the lower level of our home, she saw a ghost, he immediately asked her if it was a little girl, because he saw her as well. And it goes on to say he's an empath and has seen ghosts, not so nice ones as well, stalk him in his room at an Amish farm that we lived on. When I was in high school, my parents and I lived with a ghost, and I witnessed a shadowy person walking down the hallway past my bedroom and had a feeling of being watched constantly and had a pressure of someone on my back constantly when I went to the basement to do laundry or to the attic to go through storage. Many strange things happened in the house that were not explainable, and my dad was a skeptic, but he began to question what was happening. My husband is a huge skeptic and refuses to believe the prints are paranormal or from a spirit, so my children and I keep the discussions and concerns to ourselves. After my 2 children saw the girl, we would also hear knocking on the windows and the doors, and no one would be outside. And some knocks would be within the house, and everyone would be asleep when the one that heard the knocking would get up to check. We would also hear very strange noises in the woods behind our house at night, like a whirlwind. That should be a whirlwind, eh? But only behind our house. And it was a very uneasy feeling because you had no idea what could be conjuring up that constant fast disturbance of leaves and limbs breaking, only in one area of our development behind our house. Definitely no animals. So I burned sage, as you do, through the house, and everything was quiet for a very long time. I recently went to the cemetery to place new flowers on my parents' headstone and took miscellaneous pictures of older tombstones. And as I got a weird feeling next to a very old grave, I told my son I was ready to move along, and he said he was also, because he was getting strange feelings. Now we got home and I looked at the picture, and when I got scared, there was a strange light source that came through on the one and only picture. Now, I took several pictures on different angles and no other shot had that light source, and I had no weird sensation of any other spot in the cemetery that day other than the one, or the very old one, as we were leaving. Now, after that day is when things started stirring up at the house again with fingerprints. I had a nightmare that I woke up screaming, that my daughters heard, and my two daughters heard me. It was sort of a joke because of how I was screaming, but I was honestly scared to be screaming loud in my sleep. And my daughter and son both had scratches after this dream. I wanted to attach photos but unsure how to do so. If somebody can advise me how to, I can upload them. Thank you very much. Scott, that sounds like somebody that really is having dealings with the paranormal. And we had Lydia Bell came on the show with Bill Bean last week, and both of them featured on, you might even have seen it, the Holzer files. I think it's on the Travel Channel, I think. And
Yeah.
Lydia's story, she was being attacked by something, Scott. Like leaving proper bruises, scratches. I couldn't show the photos at the time, but she showed me pictures of her son as well. And privacy, and you know what sickos are like. I'm not putting kids online.
Yeah.
But I seen that, and that's disturbing, man. And again, it's one of those things we laugh and we joke, and then you got people that are suffering like real world, like physical attacks at the hands of something that her own husband have no time for it. You know what I mean? That's bad.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty crazy, and especially like when you're being attacked or something by like a demonic entity, and it's doing physical harm to you as well. It's not, and then on top of that, the emotional stress that you're going through as well. But yeah, I meant to have it take, to escalate into something that's actually physically attacking you. It's got to be terrifying to go through something like that.
Has there been any other instances in your house or anything like that, or do you think it's kind of died down from when your mum was seeing stuff and that? Because you had a couple of incidents concurrent, wasn't there?
Yeah, it seemed like it all kind of happened in a very short time frame window, but we haven't really had anything go on around here as far as like paranormal activity. Actually, it's been pretty quiet, so hopefully it stays that way.
Yeah, it's not the kind of thing that you want to be happening. I know some of you sickos out there probably think, oh, I'd love a bit of paranormal activity, but not when it comes to calling.
Yeah, and I definitely don't want some Ghosts of Carmel, Maine situation going on.
Well,
over
talking
here.
of ghosties, right? We had the most pathetic attempt at a Loch Ness monster Photoshop happening during the week, Scott. Not even going to show it. It's not even worthy of being shown. But there was a good story came on the back of it. And it was a guy called Tinsdale was his second name. He was a monster hunter back in the 70s. And he was of the mind that the Loch Ness Monster had to be an aquatic animal. One we hadn't discovered yet, but very, very much convinced it was of this world. And sounds like the husband and the father in that story we just read. Because he would kind of roll his eyes, kind of dismiss anything paranormal. Until he slept in Foyers Bay. And as I was explaining on the stream yesterday, when people were tuning in, Foyers Bay is like right down at the bottom of the hill that Aleister Crowley's house is on, Scott. And I don't know what happened to this gentleman, but four paranormal things left him in no uncertain terms. That everything about that loch is paranormal. He went from just being Nessie being a fish or something to the whole bloody place is Spookville. What happened in that one night staying in Foyers Bay?
And
Dang, dude.
in one night he went from giant eel to kelpie. That's essentially what
all
happened.
evil kelpies by the sound of it.
Evil kelpies.
Evil kelpies. I don't know what he's seen, but
yeah, it makes you wonder what did he experience to
weird
cause
one,
him to change his view pretty quickly on that situation.
big time. Now here's one. Devil's Gate Dam, an unsettling location. Now, I don't think I've done this. I think I had it pulled up the other day, but we never got into it. So, Pasadena, California was the site of a strange encounter with a definitive man in black.
Ooh.
Not that one, not that one. Definitely not that one. That one. I'll get there in the end, folks. It's even funnier with the mistakes, but hey, we'll go with it. Specifically on March the 22nd, 1979. So the witness, Charlie H., contacted me 36 years later to share his story after I spoke on the MIB Enigma on a local Texas radio show. Charlie, now living in the Lone Star State, had seen a UFO as he drove near to what is known locally as the Devil's Gate Dam. Now, it's a place. You ever heard of this, Scott?
No, but it wouldn't surprise me that there's a place called Devil's Gate Dam in Texas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
True.
It just seems like
It's
it'd be there.
Texas. Yep. It's a place with a great deal of paranormal activity attached to it, at which Jack Parsons, a 1930s rocket pioneer and a devotee of the great beast Aleister Crowley, hung out on a regular basis. Now, the UFO, said Charlie, was not particularly large and was circular and bright pink in colour. Charlie, who was driving his car home from a shift which ended at 2 a.m, added that the UFO came close to his car, around 80 or 90 feet away, then shot away into the sky. So 2 days later, as he happened to look out of his living room window, Charlie saw a man dressed in a black fedora, a black suit, black trench coat, white shirt, and a black tie. He got out of an old black Cadillac, and Spooky Andy is going to be going absolutely mental right now. Because it's not a Cadillac, it's a Lincoln, right? And it's a Lincoln. He educated us, didn't he?
Yep.
Yep.
Yes, it's a Lincoln.
We're with you, Andy. We're with you, dude. This Nick Redfern character, if we ever get to speak to him again, please, Nick, come back on. Quickly take a photo of his home. So the man in black then got back into the vehicle and drove away. Now, John Keel termed this particular brand of men in black as phantom photographers, and this is why John Keel is, for me, just the head and shoulders above all the rest of them back in this time. He was like cataloguing all the different kind of genres of paranormal, you know, and
yeah,
wow.
he was breaking it down and then segmenting it into their own sort of
and bear in mind, Scott, you're talking about somebody that's having to drive like state to state. It's not the internet. You're not getting on Skype, you know.
Exactly.
A lot of it word of mouth when you're in the area. Yeah, proper investigating.
Proper investigation. Yep.
Yep, big time. And it says here, a most apt term, to be sure. Now, I shared my thoughts and opinions as we chatted, and I thanked Charlie for his call. Now, let's take a look at some more of the weirdness that dominates the area. So, interestingly, NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory was itself established at this very locale in 1930 by the California Institute of Technology. And the dam had been constructed a decade earlier by engineers from the Los Angeles County Flood Control District and took its title from Devil's Gate Gorge, a rocky outcropping that eerily resembles a demonic face and which is located in a narrow canyon of the Arroyo Seco. which is a riverbed that extends from the San Gabriel Mountains into the Los Angeles Basin. Now, some say that the face is merely a classic case of pareidolia, the process by which the human brain can interpret random imagery as having some meaning or significance behind it, and a classic example being the way in which, at one time or another, most of us have seen faces in clouds. But is that really all that is behind the satanic face of the old dam? Maybe not. What are you making of this, Scott?
How did we get from Texas to California?
That's a good point. Oh, he was on a radio show in Texas.
Oh, he was on a radio show in Texas.
That's
okay,
what it was, dude. That's what it was.
There we go.
Okay, we're good.
That's right.
We're good.
Okay.
Right, so, yeah, maybe not that it is. So, See California say, quote, Devil's Gate Dam's most interesting history surrounds Jack Parsons. This is going to get good. A famous rocket scientist and the brain behind famed JPL and Aerojet. Now, as a noted follower of Aleister Crowley, and if I'm right, did he not go on to lead the Golden Dawn? Was he not like the equivalent of Crowley in his day kind of thing?
Yeah, he was like really up there.
He was a high magician, man.
Yeah, I mean, if not at the top, he was very close. He was in that upper echelon of that whole thing.
Yeah, because they were trying to do that whole Babylon working thing, weren't they? The whole Moonchild thing. So the brilliant scientist with occult interest would call for the Greek god Pan to invoke successful flight before each rocket launch. And the maverick scientist with top secret clearance met a grisly end because of his association with Crowley, some said. He died a very violent death in June 1952 from a huge explosion in his lab in Pasadena as he tried to conjure up a homunculus human creature. Now that is literally the Golem. He literally, how would you put it, indwelling a spirit into like an avatar of some kind, be it made of like, I think they made the ones of clay back in the day, you know.
Yeah, you just need a vessel or a container for the
to produce said homunculi. Would plural be homunculi, do you think? Or does one only need one homunculus and you've got more than you can handle anyway? You need to know these things, you know?
Yeah, I think it would be homunculi. And
he looks a bit...
He looks a little bit on
scientist. Yeah, crazy rocket scientist, dude. Big time. So only in your state, beginning with the first people who inhabited Pasadena's Arroyo Seco, there have been rumors of a spiritual connection to the place. The Tongva believed that water running through the gorge sounded like laughter, which they attributed to the coyote spirit. Now, in the 1950s, after Parsons perished in an accidental explosion, several children went missing in the area around Devil's Gate Dam. Though none of them were found, a serial killer took credit for 2 of the disappearances 13 years after they went missing. And as the man, Mac Ray Edwards, why do they always have 3 names, was a construction worker at the time, and their bodies were hidden somewhere in the concrete of California's freeways. That's an interesting little piece of info. I hadn't heard that about... I mean, I knew he'd had the explosion and things, but I didn't know there was like a bad guy operating in the area just at the same time, you know? To be sure, the area is one filled with a sense of menace. I can say that with certainty, having spent hours in the area with fellow writer and friend Greg Bishop around a decade or so ago. Mr. Parsons, eh? So, who's the Parsons of today, though, Scott? Who's the Who's the equivalent, would you think? You know?
Bill Gates, maybe.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, it just he happened to so like Parsons just happened to be into like jet propulsion and things like that, you know. But I mean, if you're just going to talk about a high level dude into some, I mean, but who knows what because Parsons was pretty open about his stuff with
Yep.
Anton LaVey or you know all of that thing. So you wouldn't think a lot of them would be so open with that now, but you never know. Like you said, who is the new Jim Parsons? You know, who's the one who's doing that kind of stuff? Probably quite a few of them if you think about it.
I'd say so, dude. We could probably do a whole show on it, probably. So I'm in the r/ghost stories, and I'm looking for I think ghosts are afraid of me. No, I don't want that. Something's wrong with my new house. Will we try that? It's a haunting story. Will we try it, Scott? It's
We'll
not
give it a
big
go.
anyway. It's not big. Yeah, it says here, we moved into a new house about a year ago, and strange things have been happening ever since. Noises come from rooms when no one's in them. There's footsteps coming from empty staircases, and something or someone keeps whispering in my ear, trying to talk to me. No one else in my house hears the whispers, but they hear everything else. The whispers started about a week after moving in, and it keeps trying to get my attention. Whoever is whispering to me keeps saying the same things over and over. Hey, over here. My name. That's all it says. Just hey, over here, and it calls my name. I figured that it's best to not respond and to pretend like I don't hear, so I have. Other things that have happened is that this will sound like several people are having a conversation in a room, but the room will be empty. As of recently, me and my siblings have noticed the silhouette of a man standing at the end of the hall where the lights are off, or when the lights are off. It'll be pitch black, but we can still see the distinct figure of a man just standing there. Ooh, small bedside tables have started falling over with no one near them. And the other day when I was home alone with my brother, I was walking to my room and I heard someone moving around in my sister's room. So I called out to my brother's name, but he didn't respond. So I went into the room. When I went in my sister's room, no one was in there. And that's when more noises came from the closet. So I took a couple of steps in to go and look at it. And right when I was about to open the closet door, the actual door to the room slammed shut. I didn't open the closet door and I got out of there immediately. Does anyone out there know why a ghost or whatever might be trying to talk to me? Or why it stands at the end of the hall? Could it be multiple ghosts, or does it sound like the only one? That was a nice little find there, yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Whispering in your ear. So do we think maybe that person might be psychic? Maybe?
Possibly. It obviously sounds like somebody maybe trying to get their attention.
Yep.
I mean, it knows their name, so.
I got a psychic reading the other day. Kind of freaked me out, dude. Kind of freaked me out.
It's some wild stuff if you get a legit psychic reading. It's like, oh.
Somebody listens to the show, and they'd mentioned on Twitter they do that. So me being the shameless guy I am, I said, "Oh, come on the show, give me a reading." Bit shy to come on the show. That's cool. It's not for everyone. A couple of days later, they got back to me, and they said, "Listen, I've been kind of thinking about you and putting this reading together, and well, the time that it took for her to put the reading together was a very strange time for her indeed. Very, very strange. I might get into some of it on the other side. I don't know. I done it on a stream. It really kind of weirded me out at parts, I must admit. I don't know. It's just giving me that creepy feeling, man. Whoa! You know?
Maybe you could tell us some choice nuggets from it that you took away that kind of freaked you out, because I think that
Yeah. There's
be
one real bit that
interesting.
freaked me out, and it was a woman that didn't say anything to her, but she got the impression it's somebody that looks out for me and looks after me. And all she got, and I've got the goosebumps before I say it, all she got was the word Laurel. Now, there's nobody called Laurel in my family. Oh, look at those hairs. But when I was a wee guy, my mum, single parent, out working, I was brought up by my granny in Laurel Bank.
Oh, ooh. Wow.
Yeah, it's a little bit creepy, a little bit. But make of it what you will, folks. We'll be back on the other side. Big shout out to Little Glob for your psychic reading, and we'll be back for the final segment of Freaky Friday. Yes, indeed. How are we all doing out there in YouTube land tonight? I hope you are all good. I'm having fun today. Been a really good show, I think. Always like hanging out with Scotty. It's a very natural show. And my mum has messaged, what's the bet? She is freaked out of her gourd right now.
Yes, I'm sure.
She's going to be freaking out.
Wow. I'm sure that got. Yeah, I'm sure that got
Yeah.
pearl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That caused her to raise an eyebrow just a little bit.
Yeah, she's into all that stuff, man. You know, there's good ones and bad ones. I must admit, there was a couple of the things that didn't immediately. I didn't recognize them, but again, that's not to say that the person wasn't picking up, you know. But that one there, the whole Laurel one.
A lot of those, they're getting bombarded with a lot of information. They got to sift through stuff too, as well. It's not like everything that they get
Exactly, dude. Exactly. So that one thing, yeah, I tell you, it's a good feeling. A good feeling to know that there's people looking out for you, on the other side, so to speak. I'm quite happy with that. I'm definitely happy I got the reading. That's for sure. I got a weird one. The weirdest one I ever got was the Highland Games when I was in the army. And as soon as I walked in, I got freaked out because I was on leave. But the women's like, "Whoa, love a man in uniform." Whoa, freaked. So I sat down and told me, you know, you go this way, you do your career, but you've got 2 paths on your hand. But the thing that really weirded me out was when she said, "See all these people that come to the Highland Games. One day they're all going to come and pay to see you." And at the time, Scott, I burst out laughing. I'm like, "Oh, you really don't know me." Because at the time, I couldn't speak to a room of people, let alone like speak on the radio to thousands of people. But back then, who knew what the path would be? And here I am. She was right. Didn't take the full military career path. I ended up on the path where we speak to thousands of people online.
Hey,
well, if that's not a hit, I don't know, you know. So, yeah, there you go, man. Cool story.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What do you make of them? Most of them probably bit full of it.
If chances are, if they're really, I would say, overly hyping their psychic abilities, they're a fraud.
You can. I think you can generally tell if you watch enough of them. They'll give it the cold call. Is that Jim? No, it's a John. No, it's a Jack.
I think
no,
a lot of
Jack.
A lot of the legit ones don't even want the attention. Yeah. And I mean, why would you? Like, if you're the real deal, why would you want to? Because then a lot of people would be interested in you, and a lot of people would be interested in you that go just beyond people wanting psychic readings, right? Like that. And then you got to worry about, are you going to get black bagged and taken to some black site somewhere because of your abilities? You know what I mean?
Oh, well, hang on. We had somebody that had that in the UK. Yeah, we'll get into that when we come back. It's quite interesting. Check the clock. Nearly there, folks. Don't worry, you've only got 27 minutes left with us, and then you've got the professional Brent Thomas on the way with the Paranormal Portal. So be sure to tune into that, and we'll go back to the network. For the final time tonight, you're hearing the call of the Wookiee. It's the call of the Woo. It means, Scott, one segment to go, my friend. It's been another quick one.
Excellent. Like I said, time flies when you're having fun, and since we're in this time of where time seems to be warping by at light speed,
Big time.
it happens, man.
Well,
Blink of an eye.
We were talking psychics before the break, and during the break, we'd kept it going. And you said, imagine getting that good at being a psychic where they might come along and black bag you one day. That happened in the UK. And the story is the story of somebody called Helen Duncan. So Helen Duncan was a Scottish medium, best known as the last person to be imprisoned under the British Witchcraft Act of 1735. And she was famous for producing ectoplasm made from cheesecloth. So it says here, Victoria Helen McFarlane was born... McFarlane? We've got McFarlanes in my family. Anyway, born in Callander, Perthshire, on the 25th of November 1897. The daughter of Archibald McFarlane, a slater, practicing medium. This is when it gets into the good stuff. So in 1926, she developed from clairvoyant to medium by offering seances in which she claimed to summon the spirits of recently deceased persons by emitting ectoplasm from her mouth. Now, in 1928, the photographer Harvey Metcalf attended a series of seances at the house of Duncan, and during a seance he took various flash photographs of Duncan and her alleged materialization spirits, including her spirit guide Peggy. The photographs that were taken reveal the spirits to be fraudulently produced, such as a doll made from a painted paper mache mask draped in an old sheet. So in 1931, the London Spiritualist Alliance examined Duncan's method. An early examination of Duncan's ectoplasm revealed it was made of cheesecloth, paper mixed with white of egg and lavatory paper stuck together. Now, one of Duncan's tricks was to swallow and regurgitate some of her ectoplasm, and she was persuaded to swallow a tablet of methylene blue before one of her seances by LSA committee to rule out any chance of this trick being performed. And because of this, no ectoplasm appeared. And the committee, in a report, concluded that the material was swallowed by Mrs. Duncan at some time previous to the sitting and subsequently regurgitated by her for the purpose of exhibition. So, a piece of ectoplasm from one of Duncan's earlier seances was obtained and secured in a bottle of distilled water. Now, it was given to her physical researcher, Harry Price, director of the National Laboratory of Psychical Research, who was originally enthusiastic about the sample. However, when he gave the sample to a chemist for analysis, he discovered it to be made from egg white mixed with chemicals, and Price later duplicated Duncan's ectoplasm with similar substances. So in 1931, Price paid Duncan 50 quid to perform a number of test seances, and she was suspected of swallowing cheesecloth, which was regurgitated as ectoplasm. Scroll past that bit, come down to the good bit. Where are we now? Here we go. So during World War II, in November 1941, Duncan held a seance in Portsmouth at which she claimed the spirit materialization of a sailor told her that HMS Barham had been sunk. Because the sinking of HMS Barham was revealed in strict confidence only to the relatives of casualties and not announced to the public until late 1942, the Navy started to take an interest in her activities. So 2 lieutenants were among her audience at a seance on the 14th of January 1944. And one of these was a Lieutenant Worth, who was not impressed as the white cloth figure had appeared behind the curtain claiming to be his aunt, but he had no deceased aunt. Now, in the same sitting, another figure appeared claiming to be his sister, but Worth replied his sister was alive and well. And Worth was disgusted by the seance and reported it to the police. Now, this was followed up on the 19th of January when undercover policemen arrested her at another seance as a white-shrouded manifestation appeared. This proved to be Duncan herself in a white cloth, which she attempted to conceal when discovered, and she was arrested. So researcher Graham Donald wrote that Duncan could have easily found out about HMS Barham and had no genuine psychic powers. According to Donald, the loss of HMS Barham, torpedoed off the coast of Egypt on the 25th of November 1941, was indeed kept quiet for a while, but letters of condolence were sent out to families of the 861 who lost their lives, asking them to be kept a secret until the official announcement. So, allowing for perhaps 10 people in each family, there were about 9,000 people who knew of the sinking. If each of them told only one person, there were 20,000 people in the country aware of the sinking, and so on. Hardly a closely guarded secret. In short, news of the sinking spread like wildfire, and Duncan simply picked up on gossip and decided to turn it into profit. So a leak concerning HMS Barham was later discovered, and a secretary for the First Lord had been indiscreet to Professor Michael Poston of the Ministry of Economic Warfare. Very Orwellian sounding, isn't it? Economic warfare, the Ministry of Economic Warfare, Scott. At least they were pretty open about it back then, right? You know, we got Perkins, the economic hitman. He'd write a book and blow the whistle. Back in World War II, they had it. They had a department for it.
Who's the guy you were playing yesterday? The nefarious sounding, evil, world dominating.
Oh, Klaus Schwab.
Yeah, Klaus Schwab. That's what he leads. The Ministry of Economic Warfare. Yeah.
Yep. So it says here, a leak containing it. Yeah, we got that. Poston said that he believed he had been told officially and was not arrested. So Duncan was found to be in possession of a mocked-up HMS Barham hat band, and this apparently related to an alleged manifestation of the spirit of a dead sailor on HMS Barham, although Duncan apparently did not know that after 1939 sailors' hat bands carried only HMS and did not identify the ship. So she was initially arrested under Section 4 of the Vagrancy Act in 1824, or from 1824, sorry, a minor offence tried by magistrates. Now, the authorities regarded the case as more serious, and eventually discovered Section 4 of the Witchcraft Act, 1735, covering fraudulent spiritual activity, which was triable before a jury. So, Charles, wow, I know this is crazy, right? I mean, they basically told you she's a raging fake, but how ironic that they used the Witchcraft Act to get her. Do you not think there's an irony in that?
They dusted off the old Witchcraft Act from back in the day. They blew the dust off of that, cracked that bad boy open. They're like, oh, let's see if there's anything in here that we can.
Scott, are we looking at a false seance? Did they like rubbish this woman's ability? Could they have done like an an absolute character assassination on somebody that was giving away secrets of the war.
That's the thing, because I noticed how the portrayal of her is very, very fraudulent.
Very negative.
And I never heard this real negative take on her. I always, because I've heard of her before too, and I was like, always heard that she could produce ectoplasm and was doing a lot of really interesting, weird stuff at these seances. Yeah, it makes you wonder, was she really tapping into some stuff that the government was like, hey, and then here comes the smear campaign and all of that? Because why would you charge her under the Witchcraft Act? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know, dude. I don't know. Myself and Scott are finding shenanigans. So, it says here, charged alongside her for conspiracy to contravene this act were Ernest and Elizabeth Homer, who operated the Psychic Centre in Portsmouth, and Frances Brown, who was Duncan's agent and went with her to set up seances. Now, there were 7 counts, 2 of conspiracy to contravene the Witchcraft Act, 2 of obtaining money by false pretenses, and 3 of the common law offence of public mischief. And the prosecution may be explained by the mood of suspicion prevailing at the time. The authorities were, get this, Scott, the authorities were afraid that she could continue to reveal classified information, whatever her source was. And there was also concern that she was exploiting the recently bereaved, as the recorder noted when passing sentence. So, I don't know, dude. I don't know. I like to keep an open mind.
No, I am because you know what? Obviously, they were afraid of her for.
Yep.
Regardless of how she was doing it, she was able to leak
however
this
she was getting it. We don't want her out there, and it's going to get a whole lot creepier in a minute.
Yeah, and the government was like,
get rid of her. Get rid of her.
Yeah.
Because Duncan's trial for fraudulent witchcraft was a minor cause célèbre in wartime London. Alfred Dodd. Oh, here we go. A historian and a senior Freemason testified that he was convinced she was authentic. The trial was complicated by the fact that the police raid on the seance in Portsmouth, leading to the arrest of Helen Duncan, yielded no physical evidence of the fraudulent use of cheesecloth, and was therefore based entirely on witness testimony, the majority of which denied any wrongdoing. So Duncan was barred by the judge from demonstrating her alleged powers as part of her defence against being fraudulent. The kangaroo court. The jury brought in a guilty verdict on count 1, and the judge then discharged them for giving verdicts on all other counts, as he held that they were alternative offences for which Duncan might have been convicted had the jury acquitted her on the first count. That's pretty cool. So Duncan was imprisoned for 9 months, Brown for 4 months, and the Homers were bound over. After the verdict, Winston Churchill wrote a memo to Home Secretary Herbert Morrison complaining about the misuse of court resources on the obsolete tomfoolery of the charge. So there you go. In 1944, Duncan was one of the last people to be convicted under the Witchcraft Act, which made falsely claiming to procure spirits as a crime. She was sentenced to 9 months. When convicted, she cried out, "I have done nothing. Is there a God?" On release in 1945, Duncan promised to stop conducting seances, but she was arrested during another one in 1956. She passed at her home a short time later. And Duncan's trial almost certainly contributed to the repeal of the Witchcraft Act, which was contained in the Fraudulent Mediums Act of 1951, promoted by Walter Monslow, Labour Member of Parliament, and the repeal of the... Yeah, so there's a thing, Scotty. The old Labour Party, the left, they haven't changed much. They were even cancelling the witchcraft laws back in the day. Cancel culture's always been there. The campaign to repeal the act had largely been on. You go, dude. It's pretty done now. There you go.
No, I was just gonna say it forced them to have to kind of revisit some of those old antiquated laws.
There's some weird laws, Scott. It's like,
I know.
Yeah. Well, we dig some. I think there's one like if you're in a city in north of England, York, I think you're still allowed to kill a Scotsman on a Sunday morning with a crossbow. I'm pretty sure of it. I'm gonna dig them up. Some of them are hilarious, man.
Yeah, you're gonna have to dig up like weird old laws that are still.
There we go. 21 bizarre laws that still exist. Here we go.
Yeah,
here
we go.
This will be hilarious. I mean, you can take... There's one in Glasgow. It's going to be in here. You can take your wife down Glasgow Green on a Sunday morning and give her a good slapping. That's seriously, it's an old ancient law. Now, nobody practices it. Don't freak out. I'm just
that was a very, very toxic law that was passed back then.
The toxic apple doesn't fall far from the toxic tree. You know?
I'm sure you point that out to some people, they'd be very triggered.
Oh, this is they're pretty crap. I have to zoom in to see this. Hang on then. Royal pets. It is an executable offence to allow your pet to mate with a pet of the royal house without permission. Holy shamoly! So down in one of the parks in London, you've got your dog with you. How the heck are you meant to know that the corgi happens to belong to like a lizard breath? They get a bit of hot and happy dog time, as doggies do, panting away and all that. And then before you know it, you're taken to the tower and lobbed off with the head. Moral to that story, keep your dog on a lead. So, Scottish loos. Exactly. In Scotland, if someone knocks on your door and requires the use of your toilet, you must let them enter. Good luck with that one in Glasgow. Good luck. You would probably rather do the toilet on yourself. It's not good.
Yeah,
you don't go knocking on random doors in a big city. Suspicious salmon. It is illegal to handle a salmon in suspicious circumstances. What on earth's name constitutes handling a salmon suspiciously, Scott? Is it like if you handle it inside your coat, or?
That's what I'm saying. Like if you're wearing the old trench coat and you're like kind of looking around, making sure nobody's
really
watching.
Shady, like you're stealing a salmon. Like that look.
Like, hey, I got a good one, fresh from the river. Look at the color on that salmon.
Only 3 days old. Smells great. You plank. Since 1939, it has been against the law to carry a plank along a pavement. Number 5, you must carry a bale of hay in your vehicle at all times. What? It is illegal for a lady to eat chocolates on a public convenience. Oh, woke brigade, woke brigade. I've got a weekend activity for you all. Wait till they find out there's laws that they can go and virtue signal over as they get them overturned, Scott.
Can you imagine the absolute storm that would occur if they started enforcing these laws? Like,
oh man, it'd be pretty crazy, dude.
Get a group of people to get together and demand, if you've got these laws on these books, then gosh darn it, I demand that you enforce them. and then they, oh my god, that'd be hilarious.
Mark your territory. It is legal for a male to pee-pee in public as long as it is on the rear wheel of his motor vehicle and his right hand is on the vehicle. What? What? I don't know. There's no logic.
See, it's another patriarchal.
That was a judge that made that one up, wasn't it? That was a judge that got caught. That was a judge that got caught urinating on his car with his hand on it. He just made up a law on the spot. He's like, from now on, this is just a law. Get out of here. So, next one, since 1313, MPs are not allowed to don armour in Parliament. That bunch of limp-wristed soy boys, you'd be lucky if they could actually lift the helmet, let alone wear it. So it says here it's illegal to eat mince pies on Christmas Day. Not in my universe. No cows may be driven down the motorway, down the roadway between 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. unless there is prior approval from the Commissioner of Police. I suppose a lot of rural areas you do get cows on the roads and things. Not too bad. It is illegal for a cab in the City of London to carry rabid dogs or corpses. Now that obviously dates back to a pandemic many cycles ago. Yes, you see.
There were plenty of cabs moving extra cargo back in the day. Let's
back
just
in
say,
the day. All beached whales and sturgeons must be offered to the reigning monarch. Oh, lizard breath. Oh, Lizzie, have I got just the sturgeon for you? Please take her off my hands. Please. That little hairy-faced first monster.
Hilarious. You know what? Hey, if that's a law, I think that's another one that needs to be
at the gates of Buckingham.
Yeah, when there's a beached whale that has been sitting on the sitting there for a week or so, bloating and getting nice and ripe and ready to explode, just dump that thing right in front, right on the doorstep. Be like, I offer it to you. This is my gift.
It's getting weirder. It's getting wackier. Here we go.
Whale guts everywhere.
In York, it is perfectly legal to shoot a Scotsman with a crossbow upon seeing one. Except for on Sundays. Oh, well, I got that totally back to front.
Worse. It's even. They have free reign on you, Scotsmen.
Hey,
except for on
Scottish lives matter. If you want to look at like generational hatred, look what they're doing to us. They even allow us to be shot 6 days a week, and you think you've got problems in America?
I like how they narrowed it down to the crossbow. Like they're like, just do it with the crossbow, then it'll be okay.
Yeah. Swanning around. Oh, this is definitely right. I know this one. Well, I know it's her animal. It is illegal to eat mute swan unless you are the Queen of Great Britain. Would that be the same as the Queen of Australia? Yeah. Well, she can keep her bloody swans. Who cares? Placing a postage stamp bearing... Oh my... Is there anything she doesn't get her name on? Placing a stamp bearing the monarch's fish head upside down on an envelope is considered an act of treason. Good Lord. Buy me some stamps tomorrow. I am going to get very treasonous around here. Absolutely. Dang. Beating or shaking carpets, mats or rugs is illegal. Doormats may be beaten, but not after 8 in the morning. Fuck. No idea what's going on anymore. The Licensing Act of 1872 explains that operating a cow, a horse, or a steam engine while intoxicated carries a prison sentence or a fine. Drunk and in charge of a horse. So it's illegal to erect a washing line across any street. That shouldn't be a law. It's common sense. Oh, that's right. That went out the window years ago. No person shall, in the course of business import into England, which he knows to be or has reasonable cause to suspect to be Polish potatoes. There's more Polish people in Glasgow than Scottish people, but we can't import their potatoes.
It's very racist.
Isn't it? Isn't it?
Very
Those
racist.
Potatoes Polish potatoes ever do anyone, Scott? Tell me.
Well, it's Polish potatoes.
It's some like Polish princess choke on a tatty. Is that what happened at some point? I don't know. I just don't know anymore. So, by law, it is illegal for a pregnant woman to relieve herself anywhere she wishes. Oh, wait a minute. By law, it is legal for a pregnant woman to relieve herself anywhere she wishes, even a policeman's hat. Oh, I need to post that the next time there's a protest on. Don't know if you know this, but technically... Oh, we're out of time. Can you believe it? Dang, dude. Where did the time go? We're out of here, folks. Stay tuned for Brent Thomas on the way. There we go. Yes, we can finish up our funny laws here. I think we've only got about one to go anyway. But isn't that a bit bizarre? That you can... I mean, listen, I ain't going to get in the way of a lady that needs to go, whether she's pregnant or what. You mad? But a policeman's hat? That's a bit rude. Is it not?
I mean, you imagine if you're just like the police, you're standing there and there's like some pregnant woman rushes up to you. It's an emergency. I need your hat. And you're like, whoa, what's going on here?
I don't know.
Can't do anything about it.
I don't know how well that would go down in a Scots law. I don't know how that would sail at all. I don't think Mr. Scottish Cop's going to be too happy at somebody taking a leak in his hat. I'm just saying. Maybe I'm wrong. Eh? The world's woke now. It might be a thing. Under the terms of a bylaw, it is illegal to jump the queue in the tube ticket hall. Well, they weren't quite as bizarre and funny and mad. Well, they were actually. There was plenty mad ones in there. But folks, I hope you've had fun today.
Next time, I'll find some weird, antiquated laws that exist here in the U.S., and there's a bunch of ridiculous stuff. So
I was gonna say that doesn't surprise me, but then that sounded very bad. It almost sounded as if it implies that there's some really crazy stuff goes on in America, Scott.
You wouldn't think, right?
No.
Because nothing crazy happens in America. Absolutely nothing crazy.
Yeah, a shrinking violet of a country just keeps its business out of everyone else's. Pretty, what would you call it, neutral? Yeah, they don't take sides and things, man. They're okay, they're cool.
Oh,
They barely know they're there. Those Canadians, though, blooming heck, man. What? That Trudeau with those crazy eyebrows, what's that all about? That's for another show altogether. But we are out of time. Yes, 3 hours in. 3 a.m. in the morning. That's when you know I'm starting to get crazy. People are probably thinking that's when we want to hear more of you. No, if you don't want me kicked off the YouTube. No. We're at that level where it could just descend into really algorithmic nonsense craziness.
Be careful what you wish for, people. That's all I gotta say.
Oh, yes, indeedy. Be very careful. You see, Scott sees the true Kev. He sees what I'm like, warts and all. Crazy. And you think I'm crazy on camera? You ain't seen nothing yet. But we'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully, Scott, you can join me round about the KBS show time of night. If that's, or a bit later, whatever suits you, man.
Yeah, I'll be around.
Yeah,
so
nothing planned. I've got no, I'm not going down under tomorrow morning. So we're all good, man. I'm all yours, Scott.
It all depends on how well I sleep, and I've been sleeping very well lately.
Yes, I imagine you have been, sir. Yes. Getting your head down very successfully, Scott.
Very successful. Yes,
Not so much vivid dreaming going on. Just a head coma.
Yes.
Yep.
That's the plan, Jack. That's the plan.
Tessa, fun show. Luna, Thank you, Kev and Scott. Spooky Andy. Spooky, you'd messaged me on Skype again. I couldn't look because Scott's camera's on, but I'll get it. Tessa, Logos. Got John Nelson in there as well. So many people. Edward, great to see you. Big shout out to Russell as well. He's getting out of hospital this weekend. Cackles, Leslie, big shout out to you and your mum. Big shout out to all of you. You're all amazing people. You don't need me to go through all your names to know that, or for me and Scott to remind you that you are awesome. And yes, it wouldn't be the same without the crazy chat room.
I believe it was Cackles in the chat earlier in the broadcast. He wanted to know what I listened to.
She. Definitely she.
Okay.
Yes, definitely she.
Okay.
Discord.
Okay.
It's a Discord thing, yep.
Yep, sorry. Don't want to
misgender, not in this day and age, dude. It's alright if you misgender a dude, you get away with that, but no, not one of those ones.
No, I listen to a lot of metal, just all types of metal, all genres of metal. I'm pretty much a fan of. So, I am your classic metalhead. Kev knows.
Oh yeah, big time. It's actually easy for me to relate to because when I was growing up, I used to hang about with a bunch of guys, and they were big into the heavy metal, man. Used to do my nutting. I was like this, like just a couple of years younger than them, and a bit of Jason and Kylie, you know, Home and Away, Neighbours, and you know, new romantic kind of music was coming out then, and it didn't jive well with rah, 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 Megadeth and all these crazy things going on, man. Couldn't hear myself think. I was just a young guy then, you know. But a big shout out to my uncle Donnie. Yes, big shout out to you, brother. And I think, would it be self-indulgent to play us out with the Didge again, do you think, Scott? I think the Didge does it, man.
Yeah, hey, look. The Didge is metal.
Oh, I'm gonna Didge, man.
The Didge is metal, so I'm down with the Didge.
Yeah. ZX, no, I am not gonna keep growing the hair. Look at the neck of it, man. It is everywhere. It's crazy. It's not good. But Donnie, Luna, Jess, Ken, all of our family from down under. I hope we gave you enough Australian kind of Zealandia type woo today. You know I love getting into all that stuff, and looking forward to keeping on uncovering some of the ancient mysteries and knowledge that you guys bring, not just to the show, but to the world. So I will play you out with the sound of the Didge.